And boom, like that, we're on Siege 20. Ain't that nifty?
Holy shit, C's 20. I can
Yeah.
barely see 12.
I, well, I don't have 20/20 vision, but maybe it's because I'm in 2024. You know what I mean?
True. This year definitely has fucking sucked so far.
Especially if you're a pedophile.
Well, yeah,
They've been
but
getting
that doesn't.
caught left and
But that.
right.
But that doesn't. That doesn't really suck for us.
True.
You know, good people. So I wouldn't count that as like the year sucking.
Very true. It's just funny to laugh at creeps.
True.
What a way to start off a
Oh,
C's episode.
I mean, I think we've had weirder ones, to be honest with you.
True. Didn't we start off the Mass Effect one talking about like we didn't even talk about Mass Effect for like half a fucking hour?
True. Probably talked about Devil May Cry or something. SMH. And there was also number one, which literally started off with, and this is the podcast.
Yeah,
Like a fucking pretentious douche nugget.
like a couple of idiots who didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and they were still
Good.
doing better than the guy they were talking about at least.
We still don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah. Speaking of which, oh my God, we're talking about Under the Mayo again. Yay.
Oh my god! Nobody suspected that we'd be talking about Under the Mago again.
I mean, we talked about every other one of his Devil May Cry videos. At this point, I don't know.
Yeah, at this point, like his takes are basically just like a gold mine. Like
They kind of
I
are.
don't like I'm sorry, some people might consider it bullying, but like he's making us free content at this point.
I mean, I wouldn't bully him if he weren't a dick to me. So, you know,
True, that is very important. He hasn't done anything to me personally yet. I just enjoy talking about his extremely dumb takes.
yeah. Oh, and apparently he's getting ripped into lately for his really bad Batman Arkham Knight review, which is really
Oh,
funny.
thank God.
Which is really funny because Arkham Knight isn't exactly the most popular game in the world, anyways. Like,
No, but it's part of the Arkham series, which is like extremely like I haven't played any of it yet, but I know that the Arkham series is like extremely beloved, especially by like obviously Batman fans. So
yeah, it's
like
great.
it was only a matter of time until Mayo talked about a series that was so beloved that he couldn't like even his own bad takes wouldn't be able to fly anymore
Yeah, and it's
because of how much pushback he's getting, and it looks like that one's the Arkham series. Which hold on, has he played through the entire Arkham series?
I think so. I know he made videos on Arkham Asylum and City. I don't know if he made one on Origins. No one really talks about Origins anymore, which is kind of sad because it's not a bad game. And then he made the video on Night, and apparently I haven't watched the whole thing. I watched like maybe a minute of it, and I was like, okay, I'm out. I guess he didn't.
Classic Mayo experience.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like his Sekiro video where he didn't beat it. At the very
Ooh,
least, at the very least, halfway through the Arkham Knight video, he didn't start talking about a completely unrelated fucking game.
like I don't know, fucking God of God of War.
Yeah,
Apart, I know nothing about this man. I know nothing about what this man likes apart from God of War, Ninja Gaiden, Resident Evil, and yeah, I just know those three.
he likes, I think, Mortal Kombat 9.
Mm.
He likes Doom
Right,
Eternal.
right, right, right,
Everyone knows
right,
that.
right. It was that was the fourth one. He likes Mortal Kombat,
Yeah,
which I mean, fair enough to him.
he doesn't like the newer ones though. Um,
Huh, huh, huh,
yeah,
huh, huh. I don't like them either.
He likes Greek God of War, but not the newer ones. He likes old school Ninja Gaiden, but not the newer ones. There's a bit of a recurring pattern here. I'm starting to notice.
It's taking every ounce of willpower that I have not to unironically make a boomer joke. It's not working out very well, but oh my god, am I trying my best.
Uh, oh yeah, he liked Sifu, but didn't like that it didn't have an easy mode. Then when they added an easy mode, he didn't like the fact that they added an easy mode. That was too easy after he'd already played the higher difficulty.
Okay, so like, here's the thing about that, right? I have absolutely zero problems with developers adding in an easy mode if they want to. If that's part of their game, they absolutely should have the right to do so. They shouldn't have fucking morons commenting about how they should put an easy mode in, even if that's just not something that they want to do. But I can kind of understand the viewpoint of being like, okay, I want an easy mode in here, but like, how easy is too easy? I don't expect Mayo, of all people, to be able to provide a good argument on that sort of thing, but I can understand where he's coming from in that regard. Because, like, even if it's an easy mode, like, you don't want to give the player wins for free. You know what I'm saying? Because,
Yeah,
like,
you don't want
if
it
we're
to be
talking,
like brain dead where you're like not even engaging and you're still just dominating or something like that. Unless it's
and
literally a narrative
the
mode for like anyone to be able to beat, in which case, whatever.
yeah, because, like, for example, I know that for Persona and SMT, because, like, I played fucking SMT Nocturne this year. I haven't finished it yet, but I played it. And just for shits and giggles, I tried one of the bosses on easy mode, and the boss was heavily resistant to physical attack, and I ended up buffing my party's physical attack to full, and I killed him in one shot. Even though it was actually one of the more difficult bosses in the series.
Wasn't it the fucking Matador?
No, it was Black Frost.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
playing
so
Nocturne right now. It's pretty good so far. I'm playing on PS2 like a fucking gangster.
yeah. So yeah, I completely understand it from that point of view where it's like I want an easy mode like for people who don't necessarily want that level of challenge or want to experience it but don't want it to be like extremely stressful or anything like that, but at the same time
Yeah.
like if I'm able to one shot a boss that's heavily resistant to physical attacks with physical attacks and I'm not even like over leveled or anything like that. Hee hee.
Yeah.
Maybe change a few things, maybe tweak some numbers a bit. I don't know.
Maybe a little bit. Then again, I don't know. It's hard to like gauge how Mayo perceives difficulty because apparently DMC5 on normal mode is just brain dead easy for him, which I found it to actually be pretty challenging my first time through.
Same
But
here.
also, Doom Eternal on normal difficulty for him is like a perfectly balanced normal difficulty, except to me, it's fucking brain dead easy, which, I don't know. Maybe I'm the weirdo. Maybe we're both weirdos. Who fucking knows? Difficulty's super subjective,
I
but
mean,
I don't really
I
trust him to tell me what, how properly difficult any mode is in any game. To be perfectly frank.
neither do I. I mean, granted, I also played Doom Eternal on my first playthrough on normal. I didn't like. I still died a few times, but I wouldn't say there was any level where I got stuck. You know, like there was never any point in the game where I was like, "Man, I'm just, I'm just not getting out of here today."
Yeah.
And granted, there wasn't anything like that for DMC5 whenever I played it for the first time either. But then again, that's kind of to be expected because I'd consider myself a decent veteran of the series. I've been playing it since I was fucking 11.
I'll be real.
Meanwhile,
I'll be real. Urizen 3 kind of whooped my ass when I first fought him. Like, I died probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 times.
yeah. And then one of my friends who's also a fan of the series but doesn't have nearly as much experience, like they're not as experienced when it comes to like action games or anything. They had a lot of trouble at multiple points throughout the game.
Yeah. Oh, and probably the best example with Mayo, Bayonetta. Holy fuck, that normal mode kicked my ass. But
Yeah.
but he's over there saying it's fucking brain dead super baby mode, and I'm like, all right, Mr. God Gamer, good for you, I guess. But please don't speak
Yeah,
as if
normal mode.
this is like reflective of the actual normal Bayo experience for at least most other players, because it's not.
Yeah, normal mode Bayo kicked my ass too. I just recently finished it. Overall positive experience. Maybe don't make shitty bosses next time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Apart from like Jean.
Yeah, John was pretty good. Bayonetta 2, I think you'll like a lot more. And also 3. I think three's boss fights are pretty awesome. It's the most recent one I played, so I remember it more.
Yeah. I like Bayonetta 1 overall. It's just that like I find that its bosses don't really feel conducive to the kind of gameplay that Bayonetta wants to have, and also most of the bosses are held back significantly by like having a gimmick that just isn't enjoyable.
You know, it's kind of appropriate. The game came out in 2009. It really feels like a game that was barely out of the PS2 era, you know?
Yeah, and apparently, I can kind of sympathize a bit because, from what I've heard, getting Bayonetta 1 made was a hellish experience, to the point where it's kind of even a miracle that it even exists in the first place. So, in that regard, I have a lot of respect for it. I just really wish it didn't have a lot of the problems that it does.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I feel like any development cycle
Yeah,
involving Kamiya is going to be hell, so.
yeah. I mean, granted, almost any fucking development cycle of any game is going to be hell, but yeah, with Kamiya, it's even worse.
Yeah,
Because
he's kind of a duty head.
also,
Sorry for the language, but he's a little bit of a duty head.
if I play one more character action game with a fucking space harrier segment, I'm gonna lose my damn mind.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck the deal is with.
Especially the one in Bayonetta 1, where, and granted, I might just be bad at it. It took me 20 fucking minutes on it on my successful attempt.
It's because it's so fucking long.
Yeah, I know. It's so fucking long.
It's like
What was bro cooking?
it's like what, 3 to 5 minutes or something like that if you go through without like it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and
And
it's
if you
got
die at the
multiple
end,
bosses in it too.
if you die at the end, well, it fucking sucks to be you.
Yeah, there's one checkpoint.
Yeah.
I think people harp on too much about Jack 2's checkpoints being bad. They're not, but like that is a perceived Jack 2 checkpoint right there.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, Jack 2 is so goated. You want to talk about Jack 2 instead of watching a shitty Under the Mayo video? You just want to talk about Jack 2?
Yeah, maybe we can look up some bad Jack 2 takes eventually and talk about that.
Oh, there was one. I remember the thumbnail and everything, and I even remember the convo. You, me, and Arlo. I sent it to our group chat fucking years ago, and I was like, "Yo, check out this." And then Arlo was like, "But Jack 2 is bad," and I was like, "Hey, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute."
Nah, Jack 2's fucking Jack 2's
Based.
dude. I would actually make the argument, okay? This is gonna sound crazy for all you Jack fans out there, all 20 of you,
Yeah.
including me and L. I would make the argument Jack 2 is an overall better experience than Jack 3, partially because of the fact that Jack 3 leaned way more heavily into the action and set piece elements of the story, whereas Jack 2 tried its best to have like the full package where it had those set pieces and those action moments, but it also like really heavily focused on platforming because Jack 3 doesn't really have that many segments that involve too much platforming overall, and I think it suffers as a result.
Which is weird because you would think Light Jack would have opened them up to a whole new
I
fucking world of
know.
platforming, but they just kind
Well,
of they
well,
showed it
but you
off when you first get it and you first get the flight. It's like, oh hell yeah, let's go. And then like after that mission, it just doesn't happen anymore.
yeah, yeah. There's like two fucking sections in the entire game where Light Jack is required, and it's in the tutorial where you get Light Jack and the final mission of the fucking game. Which, don't get me wrong, final mission of Jack 3 is like genuinely like really fucking good, but
Oh hell
it's
yeah,
just a shame that we don't get that, but more often.
yeah. I think Jack 3 is really good. I just think Jack 2 is better.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like,
Also, the story and
I
characters in Jack 2 are fucking phenomenal.
yeah, I mean, I complained about the action set pieces and stuff like that, but they are genuinely good. It's just
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like I would have preferred that the series stayed more towards its roots and had a bigger focus on platforming. Other than that, it's really good, and the music is fucking oh
So that was about 14 minutes, and you have to understand this is a very special video. This is S.E.E.S 20, and we're talking about Mayo finally played Devil May Cry 3, several months ago, and that means a great deal. So, in honor of this event, I'm gonna have myself a delicious little gingerbread cookie. I love gingerbread, and this one happens to be loaded with various herbal supplements, which I shall not disclose. So we're gonna have a good fucking time with this one.
holy shit!
Whee!
He's got the Vital Star cookie.
Yeah, I loaded it with my Flintstone vitamin gummies. Fuck yeah, bro.
Let's Let's go. Oh my god. Holy shit. I just looked at the time code. We got 32 minutes on
Oh
our
God.
hands.
uh, kill me. Yeah,
Now,
you just wanna, I don't know. What do you, so, real quick, I
want
just
to give
gotta
our
point out,
opinions on DMC3 real quick.
well, I just gotta give a quick little aside. Those of you who look this video up, you'll notice that Dante is in the thumbnail. There's a reason for that. You're probably thinking, well, the reason is because he's the star of the game, right? No. The reason is because the original thumbnail had Virgil. Only in this video, Virgil, Mayo literally does not even say Virgil's name or reference him at all. Literally at all. This man made a fucking half-hour Devil May Cry 3 video, did not mention Virgil at all.
And apparently, he did it because he thought it'd be funny. Spoiler alert, it wasn't funny, and it mostly was just confusing and also left people wondering, man, I wonder why he didn't talk about, like, arguably the most important aspect of the entire game from a boss point standpoint. Especially considering the fact that I think he complains about bosses a decent bit in this video, which, don't get me wrong, I understand. I love DMC3. It does not have the best roster of bosses out there. It could definitely
No.
be a lot better. In fact, I think bosses are arguably its weakest aspect, apart from like 3 of them, maybe 4, if I remember correctly.
There's a few good
Virgil,
ones.
Beowulf, Cerberus, and Ogden. Yeah, 4 bosses. 4 bosses are good, and that's it. And
I
that's
like
unfortunate.
I like Garion when he goes into his second phase. The first phase is doo-doo.
True, I like the idea of Garion. I think he just spends a little bit too much time away from the player, wasting our time.
Yeah, he stalls. For sure.
Other than that, really good game. Although, and this is relevant to something with that I'm working on right now. DMC3 also has a decent roster of abilities. There's a couple of stinkers that aren't really useful, but for the most part, like, you've got a lot of fun tools to work with.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I don't remember how contentious or bad this video was.
I don't really either. And as
I
far as
don't
I'm
think
concerned with DMC3, I would say it's one of the most influential games for myself. I bought it at a flea market for like $15. It was the special edition on PS2, like way back in the day. I think it was in 06. And I went home and I played it, and I was like, and I mean, anyone who's seen literally the first fucking cutscene, it's like, oh yeah, it hooks you immediately. I played the shit out of it. It was also the game that like really pushed me into getting interested in playing games on higher difficulties and seeing how good mechanics are when they're like under the stress of difficulty. Which, you know,
that was
some
DMC4.
yeah, and as you and I know, as we've discussed a lot about this game that I'm making videos on right now, which I shall not say the name of, difficulty is like pressure. The more you apply it, the more stress it puts on the mechanics, and sometimes you try and apply a little too much of it, and things don't go well. Not all the time. Nuh-uh.
Yeah. I like DMC3 as well. I would consider it like up there with DMC1 in terms of like one of the most important games for the character action genre just out there.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
its influences are still felt to this day, to the point where like almost every single character action rival out there is like heavily influenced by the Devil May Cry 3 formula.
It's kind of funny, like we were talking about Kingdom Hearts earlier, not on this video obviously, but I remember when I was younger thinking to myself, I feel like Riku is going to be like the big rival influence character. Like I can kind of see him starting to be in other characters. Like a good example would be what's his name, Kevin 11 from Ben 10, kind of reminded me of Riku. But then Virgil.
Kevin 11. It's Kevin Levin. Thank you very much.
Okay, shut the fuck up.
No, I'm just right though.
No, stop it. But then I remember playing Devil May Cry 3 and I was like, alright, Virgil is like literally the ultimate rival ever.
True.
And then, you know, games like Metal Gear Rising started coming out and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling that Virgil influence a lot. And there's a reason that his return in DMC5 was so hyped up.
Absolutely. Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, by the way, I have to say, I got it because it was the only way to get KH on PC back whenever it released. The Epic Games HD collection of Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 is one of the worst fucking ports I've ever played of an old game. Oh my fucking god. I've had that game fucking crash because I saved.
Oh dear.
It's actually the worst. Also, there's sound settings, but there's no ability to mute any of the sound settings.
Wait, so you can just
Yeah.
like turn them down really low, but
yeah, you have the ability to turn them to 1, but not 0.
oh, that's the worst.
It's the worst. What's the point of having them?
I know you like to turn the music down so you can play your own. That's gotta be, ugh.
Yeah, at least when I'm like doing stuff like grinding or like if I'm making like videos for it and stuff like that. If I'm like experiencing it for the first time, then I won't. But like, yeah, it's the fucking worst. Like, why? What's the point? What's the point? You dense motherfuckers.
Damn. Oh man, I was so baked last night, and I don't know why, I was like, I'm gonna listen to some Kingdom Hearts music. I haven't heard that shit in so long, and I did, and I was, Hickory, man. Hikari, what a fucking track. Like, the moment it starts, I'm just like, oh, I'm 6 years old again. This is the fucking best.
True. For me, that happens when I listen to Dive to the Heart, which is the track that plays in like the sections where you're like in like the pitch black darkness with like where you're on people's hearts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
For me, it's that song. Every time I hear that song, I'm just like, God, I'm that kid again, booting up Kingdom Hearts 1 because I saw the wacky Disney characters, and then I immediately boot up the game and I'm greeted with cosmic horror. What the fuck is this?
Also, man, that Roxas theme is, like, heartbreaking. It's so fucking sad. Like, even outside the context of the story, like, it's just a really fucking sad piece of music. So good. Anyways, 22 minutes in, we should probably watch a little bit of this video, anything?
Oh, fuck that video.
It's gonna be poo-poo, but here we go!
So we can all agree that Devil May Cry 2 is one of the worst games released in 3D action.
What the fuck is this?
Oh, that's Jay's reviews.
Why is he...
He's okay. He's not the worst reviewer out there. He's definitely a little bit... Sorry, I don't mean to insult you. A little bit boring.
Jay, my man, I don't know who you are, but why are you, like... Why are you here?
Because obviously, whenever you're making a video of any kind, sometimes you just have to have superfluous
I want you to
cameos.
I want you to imagine for a moment, if you would. You're playing Dark Souls 2. I know, but hear me out to the end. Imagine if the Black Gulch was an optional area with literally no rewards and not even a boss fight, and you're going there willingly. Like, that's the equivalent to what you're doing, Jay. I need you to reevaluate your decisions. Under the Mayo is the optional Black Gulch of YouTube collabs.
Yeah, I mean, if they're just like friends or something like that, I get it, but like, yeah,
They might be. I have no idea, but
I would imagine they are. Otherwise, like, they wouldn't have collaborated because Jay is not like a huge YouTuber,
right? Yeah.
But like, yeah. I don't know. I just, man, me appearing on a Mayo video, that's like the worst feeling. That'd be like the worst feeling ever.
Unless he's responding to us, which he doesn't have the balls to do. But, you know, that would be funny.
It would be pretty funny, not gonna lie.
Action genre, right? Well, if not, you can go watch the previous video and learn all about how that game crashed and burned from the perspective of someone who had played it more times than any human being really should.
Jay, what are you doing? It's not enough that you stole my entire idea of reviewing the DMC series in 2024, but you gotta steal my actual show too? Get out of here.
What? You're kicking me out? Well, you can't kick me out because I'm leaving. Yeah, that'll get him.
Man, I am on the fucking Rafflecopter right now. I am just having me a silly good time. Whee!
Yeah, I mean, some people might consider it a bit mean, but I just
I mean,
if
it's not.
there's one
I don't know. It's not funny. Like, what do you want me to say?
yeah, if there is one thing that I
Tell you what.
uh, sorry, if there's anything that I despise more than almost basically any like trope that you can have as a YouTuber, it's completely pointless, superfluous gags, especially at the very start of your video that add literally nothing and also just aren't funny when they're clearly supposed to be.
I mean, it killed 30
Co-
seconds, so you know that's something.
Comedy is very hard. I get that. I don't fault anyone for not being good at it, but also at the same time, just don't fucking waste your viewers' time. Like it's just get to the fucking point. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. He wanted a little collab cameo thing, and Mayo can't write comedy, so that was the best he could do. Oh well.
Devil May Cry 3. This is supposed to be the king of the series, and I'm finally getting around to it. I just put out 2 videos on DMC 1 and 2, I invite you to check them out.
Hey, we just put out, and by just put out, I mean like a few months ago, I think, that at this point, we put out a couple videos talking about those. You should go check them out.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie.
Loveless Lucy, I've already seen those videos. We'll go watch them again. I'm sure, you know, you might get more out of it. Who knows?
You might even find an Easter egg inside of them that you didn't see before.
Ah.
Nobody tell them that that's completely untrue.
But or are we bullshitting that it's bullshit? Who fucking knows?
I certainly don't. I'm too dumb. He colon 3.
Shut the fuck up.
The sign of a good game, sometimes, is that I don't even want to make a video about it. I just want to keep playing it.
Based.
I have delayed the script for days because I'd rather play DMC3 than talk about it.
You know what? I can respect that.
Me too. Me too. Especially since like sometimes there'll be times where I'm making videos and I'm like, man, I could be playing this game right now.
You know, it's funny. It's kind of the opposite with me and Elden Ring because, like, I want to make
You don't.
I want
you
to
don't
make a
wanna play
video
it.
about it. I want to make a video about it, but I don't want to keep playing it. So it's like that's the sign of a pretty bad game, or at least a game that I really, really don't like. So
Yeah. Man, you remember when we were excited for that game?
I miss those
I-
days. I wasn't
I also
even
miss it.
I wasn't even like, you know, I wasn't like spurging out or anything, but I was like, a new FromSoft game, fuck yeah. And it's like gonna be kind of Souls-like, but kind of doing its own thing. It's open world, fuck yeah, man, let's go.
Yeah, I remember because I remember that I also had misgivings about the series up to that point, and I was not very excited for Elden Ring. And my friend managed to get me excited for it, and both of us nowadays just kind of don't like it. And it's like, man, this fucking sucks. We were so excited for this, and then it crashed and burned so hard.
Fucking
At least in the quality
dude.
department, it's made more money than it will ever deserve.
That story trailer, oh man, Radon and Melania look so fucking cool. I got the collector's edition, that Melania statue. I was like, man, this character is gonna be so fucking cool. Yeah, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of editing that fucking behemoth of a section right now, and let me tell you, I'm not. I'm so ready for it to be over with. Holy fucking shit! I'm so ready for it to be. I'm tired, boss. I'm so tired.
Yeah, I get you. It sucks. You're almost there.
Yeah, I'm almost halfway done with the script. Woo. Or the
Colon
videos.
Okay, first things first. Can I tab out of this game without it freezing? Yes, we're already ahead of DMC2.
I can't.
So the development
Aw.
of DMC3 is interesting because it was made by the director that was brought on to try to fix DMC2 before it launched. He couldn't, and he was given a second chance to make his own game. Interestingly, DMC3 was originally supposed to be a pinball game, but later got converted into the now legendary hack-and-slash sequel. Crazy, right? I'm scrolling through my
This is a joke, by the way, in case you couldn't tell.
I was about to say, is that because like
The joke
What?
is about how Devil May Cry 1 was supposed to be Resident Evil, which he also made a joke about by saying that it was supposed to be a Street Fighter game in his DMC 1 review.
You know, it's interesting. Mayo seems to think that him being funny is him being wrong, but what he doesn't realize is that he's actually unintentionally wrong a lot more of the time than he realizes. So
Big.
when he's intentionally wrong, I can't fucking decipher the difference. But I'm sure in his head, it's like, ah, yes, this I have achieved comedy.
I've achieved the funny.
Truly divine comedy, if you will. Get it? Dante and Budge.
Holy shit.
Notes here and really know where to start, so I'm just going to start listing things and how I feel about them.
All right, real quick, I just gotta say, fuck that section right there where you have to smash the balls together. It's so fucking irritating.
It is. It's
Like,
much simpler than you might think it is, but oh my god, it's just so fucking. Blah.
it's so simple, but also so easy to fuck up, and oh, fucking, I hate it.
Also, I just noticed a funny little detail
Yeah.
in game. When you've got Agni and Ruja equipped, and you have you're in Devil Trigger, you know the glowy lines that Dante has over his body.
Yeah.
The right side is blue, and the left side is orange.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
That's really cool. I love game design. I love effort.
Oh yeah.
Mayo doesn't, but I love it.
But first, are you a fan of Aliens?
What?
Of course you are. Well, you're going to want to check this out. From the team that put together the excellent first-person shooter documentary in 2023 with the Cav pre-ordered.
Is this a sponsor?
Yeah, Mayo's been getting sponsorships, which I mean, good for him, but pain.
I mean, all right, it kills time for us, I guess. Go on ahead. You do the thing. Works for me.
My way, and if you physical shipping and trailer for the so much better than Aliens expanded. Aliens expanded.
That was
Now,
so
what
hard
was
to
I saying
say.
about Devil May Cry 3? Level design is so much better than DMC 2. It's similar to DMC 1. Large places to explore, backtracking, it all connects together and feels like an actual place. I liked it a lot. I enjoyed exploring and finding red orbs and secrets and health upgrades. It's great. The combat options are superb. Dante is fast and capable, starting the game with just the right amount of tools to handle the enemies and have some fun while he does it. You're given a choice of playstyle before the first fight even begins, and I had to go with Swordmaster because I love the aerial combos. I'm slashing up bad guys using delayed combo attacks, using the style button for air combos, and crashing down to the ground.
Does anyone honestly start out Devil May Cry 3 with any other style? Like, on God?
I don't actually know, to be honest with you. I certainly did not. Mostly, and even now, I always try to experiment with the other styles, but I find myself defaulting to Swordmaster. I need to start experimenting with them more, but I always default to Swordmaster because it's just so fucking fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like, even, like, when I first played it as a kid, I mean, I immediately pieced together, I was like, okay, guns are not going to be my primary form of offense. I can just intuit that, like, right off the bat. So having them on secondary is totally fine. The guard is time-based, so that's going to take a lot of practice and skill. And dodging, I can still kind of do, just with less, efficiency. So, like, yeah, Swordmaster is just straight up, like, it's just kind of better. It's more practical, I think.
Yeah, unless you're trying, like, now granted, if you're trying to get through things as fast as possible, Royal Guard is the style to go because it can deal like the most damage in the game. But
Yeah.
I think most players just default to Swordmaster, and I feel like the developers knew that because apart from Royal Guard, it's just like the most refined and extensive style of the bunch.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great.
And then Gunslinger, I haven't. That's probably the style that I've experimented with the least, but at least in DMC3, it just feels the fucking worst. Like there's very little to like. Very little benefit to Gunslinger in DMC3 from what I've seen.
Gunslinger can be really good, but in my experience, it's held back by the fact that guns like a Spiral just don't even have aerial use. So like you can't you can use them in aerial combos because like you can keep the enemy, suspended a little bit longer or something like that. But you have to be at a specific point on the ground, whereas Ebony and Ivory, you can just spin around in the air, and Coyote A, you basically do the exact same thing with the gunslinger in the air.
Yeah. Granted, one thing that I will say is that I really, really like Spiral, and I wish more games would let me wield the fucking anti-tank rifle.
Yes.
How is that not more common in character action games?
You would think it would be, you would think like that in rail cannons would be like,
Yeah, like a shoe-in, but they're like barely there. Like
yeah,
fucking based Bayonetta for letting me have fucking bazookas as tonfas. They're not the most practical, but holy fucking shit, do they feel nice.
they're fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, and ice skates. Oh my god, dude.
Oh man, wait till you get to Bayonetta 3 where you get a fucking yo-yo and a choo-choo train as your weapons. It's so
But
fucking base.
no, I can play Bridget Guilty Gear.
Was that?
So that I can play Bridget Guilty Gear, but Bayonetta.
Oh yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Integrating pistols where I can. The action starts right away, and it's good. You come up on a mini-boss in the second room, who plays defensively and kinda parries you, so you learn to react and either dodge to the side or jump, which I prefer so I can attack on the way down.
Very true.
He also has a teleport attack, and you react to the sound and time your dodge. Tricky to get the hang of, but I really appreciate that they're immediately throwing something at you that you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, I think the Vanguard does such a fucking awesome job of like getting you familiarized with basically every base mechanic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would make the argument that even though he's counted as a mini boss later on, I would make the argument that he's one of the best bosses in the game.
Yeah, straight up.
He's just extremely solid. I really, really like the Vanguard, and I wish we had more. I wish we had more bosses slash mini bosses in character action games that were as efficient as the fucking Vanguard at getting you familiar with game mechanics.
Eat your heart out, soldier of Godric. Fucking dumbass tutorial boss.
True, dumbass
Oh
tutorial
my
boss who goes
God.
like one hit. Like, what's even the point?
And what's the other
It's
one?
not like
Not the Royal Revenant, the grafted scion. Ugh, fucking sucks.
yeah,
It sucks so bad.
It's not great. It's not great. Asylum Demon better. Hee hee.
Asylum Demon, Demon Vanguard, another Vanguard. But yeah, Demon
Fuck's sake,
Vanguard.
I'm not as big a fan of the DS3, but I'll take fucking Gundyr over the fucking Soldier of Godric or the Grafted Scion.
Oh hey, Gundyr's great. Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah,
Champion
he's
Gundyr
not-
is doo-doo. Fucking doo-doo.
But Gundyr, but EX Gundyr, ooh baby boy, I'll take that shit in my cereal, please. A little
Hell
bit extra
yeah.
crunch,
Yummy,
some
yummy.
fruitiness.
Yummy, yummy to my tummy.
We got a bit off topic.
We tend to do that. Just wait till this fucking gingerbread starts kicking in.
Like in the other games, reaching a high style meter grants an orb bonus, which is great. I love a style meter that has real-time benefits.
Yeah, it reminds me of this one game called Devil May Cry 5, and it does a similar thing. You remember that?
No, it's not. It's not the same, Loveless. It's not the same.
Did you
Devil May
say-
Cry 5?
Did you say
Nah, it's
loveless?
not the same, Loveless. Devil May Cry 5 bad. You fucking
Yeah.
stupid landlubber dumb bitch. Hee hee semicolon 3.
Oh my fucking god. Shut up!
I also really like how reaching triple S rank will enhance certain special attacks.
Why doesn't he show his own fucking triple S instead of Tavoy action?
Listen, Loveless, you cannot expect somebody reviewing a game to have a passable skill at it, okay?
Like,
Stop it.
like it's one thing to like using other people's footage here and there is fine. Like, for instance, with my Melania section, I talk about the original waterfowl dance, which I don't have the game on PC, so I can't mod it to use that. So I just have to take other footage because I literally don't have a choice. But this is just like surely to God, Mayo got one stylish at some point in his playthrough, right? Like surely.
I feel like the day we've done this so many times. We have complained about Mayo using other people's footage in basically every single fucking video that Mayo has ever made that we have covered. I feel like the world ends the day that we find a Mayo video where we don't have that complaint.
For real. Oh my god.
extending the number of hits. It's a really nice touch and a cool reward for playing effectively and fun. But I'm starting to get annoyed at the lack of feedback. I would care a lot more about the orb bonus granted by a higher style meter if there was something on screen that actually showed me what I was earning.
Like a style meter, maybe? What the?
You know the thing that you won't shut up about?
Play that. No, play that back.
It's
starting to get annoyed at the lack of feedback. I would care a lot more about the orb bonus granted by a higher style meter if there was something on screen that actually showed me what I was earning. I'll use God of War as an example.
But it does. It does.
double like the style meter. That's the entire point of the style meter. The style meter, like it's everything in one. It shows you how well you're playing, and it shows you how much of an orb bonus you're going to get.
What?
It doesn't have the exact number of orbs that you're going to get as a bonus or anything like that, because you get the orb bonus whenever you kill enemies. But
also it's a set number, you know, like
yeah.
I don't know. What the fuck?
I get what you mean. Each style rank that you kill an enemy at is a set number of bonus orbs whenever you kill them.
Yeah, it's a set multiplier. As far as I remember, anyways.
And fun. But I'm starting to get annoyed at the lack of feedback. I would care a lot more about the orb bonus.
See, when he first started talking about this, I thought he meant hit feedback. I was like, motherfucker, are you crazy? Like DMC3's hit feedback? Oh, it's crunchy. It's so good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would make the argument that DMC1 and DMC3 have like the best haptic feedback on the controller, especially in terms of vibration, because like, oh my god, fucking everything you do in those games just it elicits a response in every regard, for fuck's sake.
I will say, you've got to play DMC5 SE on PS5, because the PS5 DualSense controller, holy fuck, what a controller. The haptic feedback on it is like, oh my, it's godly. It's so fucking good.
I played a bit of Demon's Souls on the PS5, and the haptic feedback in that game is really fucking good.
Oh yeah, Demon's Souls Remake specifically feels like it is like super fine-tuned to the PS5.
I did not realize just how much controller vibration could add to an experience until I played Demon's Souls on the PS5, and like taking steps in human form causes a vibration, but taking steps in soul form doesn't, I believe.
It's something like that, yeah. Oh man, just DualSense is such a fucking good controller. It's so good.
Bonus granted by a higher style meter if there was something on screen that actually showed me what I was earning. I'll use God of War as an example. As you're racking up a combo in God of War, you get an orb bonus for every milestone. 10 hits plus 2 orbs. 20 hits, another 4, so that's 6 total. You get all this real-time feedback about what your combo is giving you. It feels good to see that plus 25 and plus 50 orbs as you reach a big combo. DMC doesn't have anything like that, and I'm left wondering, okay, what did I get from all those combos?
Okay, but you can see that there is okay, so this is a point that I want to give him, but I can't. Because there is a huge difference between when you kill an enemy with a bad style rank and a good style rank. Because when you kill an enemy with a bad style rank, you get a bunch of piddly little orbs that amount to nothing. And when you kill them with a big style rank, their orbs are fucking massive.
Yeah, I was gonna say with God of War, and this isn't even knocking God of War because I think it does what it does well. With God of War, it's trying to give you a consistent buildup of feedback, whereas Devil May Cry is trying to similarly give you a consistent buildup to your feedback, but the payoff is one big splorge at the end when all the big red orbs come out and you see them lighting up your screen versus, giving you much during the process of combat, because it wants you to be focused on the combat too, because there's a lot to pay attention to.
Yeah, I personally don't think that anything. I don't necessarily knock God of War for doing it, but I also don't necessarily think anything is explicitly gained by showing me how much of a bonus I get. If anything, I would make the argument that it has the potential to be distracting because it's yet another piece of information that is on screen. The amount
Yeah.
of orbs, whether or not I can see the amount of orbs that I'm getting, should not be affecting my play because I should be trying to play as best as I can anyway, regardless.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like in Call of Duty, like how newer Call of Duty games, like you get one kill in the multiplayer and your screen just like it just gives you
Yeah,
so much fucking reaction. And you know, it's to get that fucking happy
dopamine.
chemical
Yeah.
rush. Yeah.
And
But
like, don't
like
get me wrong, I like I don't necessarily like I said, I don't necessarily have a problem with it in God of War's case because it's extremely small and superfluous, but I don't think it necessarily adds anything either. And again, if anything, like it has the potential to be distracting. Because
yeah.
I like because like in DMC3, because like I said in DMC, I can tell whenever I finish a mission with a low style rank and a high style rank, like I can see the difference easily. Um, and so like it doesn't matter to me what the amount is. I'm still going to be trying my best for it, obviously.
Yeah, I think I don't know, this just feels like a very minute kind of thing like for example, in Devil May Cry, when you're racking up a style, like even the font and text kind of change over time. Like they get a little bit more sharp and italicized and shit.
Mhm.
And like you can hone in on that and be like, ah, God of War doesn't, change the numbers as your hit count gets higher and higher. But like, it's just like, why would you even criticize that? I don't really get it.
Yeah, quite literally, the only thing that I would say that I would be upset about if other games past DMC5 didn't have is dynamic music. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just the dynamic music of DMC5 adds so much that I would actually make the argument that the dynamic music of DMC5 adds so fucking much that it ends up causing the fucking boss themes to suffer because they don't have that trait.
Not only that, but like every other game is now worse because it doesn't have dynamic music with the style meter.
Every game in the world is worse as a result of me having experienced this amazing thing.
Pretty much, yep.
But I gotta mention something that I absolutely loved, and that ties into the discussion I regularly have on this channel about style-focused games.
It's hard,
to
isn't
force
it?
play-
I'm gonna guess that it's because the game's hard.
I don't remember. To be honest with you, I think it could be fucking anything.
That's true.
players into experimentation. I hear a lot that these games should just be open playgrounds of experiment.
Oh my god, it's actually gonna be the
Citation
difficulty
needed.
thing. It's
Citation needed. No, like literally. Another thing is also, please, citation. Stop saying things. Stop making claims. Stop making claims that are apparently said by multiple people without citations. It's so fucking annoying.
it could, like, I don't know about you, but you know, me and Lucy.
Normally, when I make claims, I like to have a little bit of proof or exhibit evidence to support it.
Not only
Instead of
but me and Lucy, we're planning on doing this Elden Ring comic comeback once my series is finally said and done. And holy fuck, that is going to be a long episode because I've already got so many comments that I can't help but respond to. I've had to pass up so many. You have no idea.
I don't doubt it.
Not only are we going to be responding to all these comments, actually having discussion, but I'm going to show them and not just be like, yeah, someone said this, I promise.
Yeah. And you should do that. If you're making a claim about something that somebody allegedly said, you should show that.
Well, and you think if this is being said to him all the time, whenever these videos come up, you think it would be really easy for him to show the comments on the screen. At which point, obviously, guys like myself and psychonaut therapy would be like, all right, so here's why you're actually completely misrepresenting those comments. But beside the point.
Yeah.
You think he would at least show the comments, but I don't think he's going to do that, is he?
He's not. I know he's not because, like, as much as I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt, I've gone past the point where I'm even able to. He's Mayo. He's not going to show it. He's just going to keep making claims. And I guarantee that this whole point of, like, so many people saying that these games should just be open playgrounds for the player, I guarantee he's actually misrepresenting something that other people have said.
I
'Cause imagine
guarantee I guarantee what people are actually telling him is, so the lower difficulties are meant to familiarize you with the mechanics by giving you basically free reign over mostly weak enemies and the occasional challenge. That way, you know, these lower difficulties can be justified as being referred to as a lower difficulty. Something like that.
yeah, instead yeah, something that's actually like reasonable, even if he himself doesn't necessarily like the explanation. But
Yeah,
obviously, if you like something, you should just misrepresent it to be worse in every regard, so that you can then talk shit about it on ad nauseum, no matter how fucking wrong you blatantly are.
true. But anywho,
Experimentation, and you should never be forced to play in any certain way,
nope.
even though that would absolutely get resistant players into experimenting with mechanics they're overlooking. Well, not only does DMC3's first playthrough present a decent enough challenge to encourage experimentation, there are these statues placed around the levels that require a high style.
Okay, yes, I want to make a comment about that. Combat adjudicators, fire. I don't know why they didn't bring them back in DMC5. I think that they're like
Yeah,
a
I
real.
miss those.
I think they're a really good mechanic, and I think that they do a good job of incentivizing players to like a good job of incentivizing players to try out playing stylishly and varying up their attacks while also doing it in a relatively safe environment that they don't have to worry about.
And also
So they
with
don't have to
specific
get pressured.
weaponry.
Yes, combat adjudicators, fucking fantastic. I wish 4 went the route of requiring specific weapons. Although, granted, I guess in those cases there wasn't too many of them. And I don't know why 5 didn't have them. You have the training mode, but I would make the argument that still having the combat adjudicators throughout the
Yeah.
missions would be a good idea. Because, again, it would encourage that experimentation and for you to see what you can do.
Absolutely. And I think with DMC4, another reason that they didn't do it with specific... One, you were totally right, because they don't have the weapon variety to justify that. But also, like, Devil May Cry 4 is, like, so much more fluid than 3. It almost made more sense to be like, alright, let's see what combo you can do with all of these tools at your disposal now. Versus... And, you know, there is totally value. Like, holy fuck, you can get a triple S with just Rebellion? Like, damn, nice job. But
Yeah,
I think there's
value
also
involved.
yeah. So either way works. But yeah, I wish
Style
they'd been
meter
brought
to
over to
break.
DMC5. That would have been awesome.
Meter to break. Just mashing attack will not raise the style meter. You gotta try delayed combo strings, air launchers, aerial attacks, swordmaster style attacks. If you want to break these statues and get a bunch of red orbs, you must attack them
Hey, look, Mayo got the triple S. Good job. You should have shown that earlier.
True, nice work.
using variety and style. It's brilliant. It teaches you playstyles that are effective and fun. It teaches you mastery of the weapon you're using. These little nudges towards stylish play are very welcome, and I wish more style-focused games had them, instead of relegating stylish play towards arbitrary level ranking systems. It worked on me, I'm sure it would work on others. So, this
He says arbitrary level ranking systems, but in the same video where he talks about style meter specifically, he talks about other games that do literally the exact same thing and how they're so good at it. What was it? Was it Streets of Rage or King of Fighters or something like that, where it was literally just you get a fucking letter score at the end of the mission and he thinks it's great, and it's like that's the thing that every other thing does. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, but it was dumb. Source, trust me, bro.
This is all great. The improvement over DMC2 is immediately apparent. It feels like a faster version of DMC1, which is awesome. But it also introduces the first major problem this game has. Okay, everyone, let's just take...
Alright.
I don't know why you're...
What's he telegraphing here? How bad's this take gonna be?
There's also another thing that I hate when YouTubers do when they're talking about something that's popular and beloved. Like, I don't know why you're doing this specifically for DMC3, because there's plenty of people who admit that DMC3 have problems.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, we're probably the biggest defenders of DMC that have like consistently covered you, and like even we're like, yeah, DMC3 like sometimes it does suck a little bit.
Yeah, it's very flawed. It is it's, is I hate fucking comparing games to Dark Souls because people always it's like Dark Souls in that it's a flawed masterpiece
Yeah.
and very fucking influential. So yeah.
Yes.
But
The deep
anyways,
breath.
he's telegraphing
Almost
this. He's telegraphing this like it's waterfowl dance. I'm just wondering how bad this is gonna be.
Also, unlike in Dark Souls, Dark Souls is influential to its detriment. Hee.
Oh, true.
We're not going to get worked up. We're going to keep in mind that regardless of any criticism I have about DMC3, I like this game very much.
So
Okay.
I don't know if he should be taking the guys don't get worked up stance when his Elden Ring stream, people were just offering like basic bits of advice and he was throwing a bitch fit towards them. Like not even
Hey Mayo.
I get
Hey Mayo.
like take it from someone who gets comments from elitist douchebag snobs
Snobos.
fucking assholes about Elden Ring. Your comments were fucking so generous to you, and you threw the
Hey Mayo,
biggest
you
bitch
should play
fit.
Mayo, you should play the game. Dude, I don't want to play the game. What are you talking about?
God, guys, chill out.
I don't want to play the game. Then don't fucking play it, you fucking Nimrod.
Anyway,
Jeez.
I mean, in fairness, his comparing DMC2 to DMC5 triggered me pretty hard. So who am I to judge? Let's see what this motherfucker has to say.
I beat the campaign 3 times on normal, hard, and very hard. I have
Oh, Dante must die. Oh. It is really weird that DMC3 has a very hard mode. It's
It does. Though I would make the argument that very hard mode is a bit better than DMC5, or sorry, a bit better than DMD because DMD is just a little too crazy in DMC3 sometimes.
yeah, I think DMD just tends to rely too much on bloating enemy health, you know?
Yes. And thankfully they fixed it in DMC4. And oh my god, the devil triggers in DMC4 for the enemies look the best that they ever have.
True, that they do.
eventually
Burial's
installed
DT.
style
Oh yeah,
switches, so
Burial. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, the first time that I got on DMD when I was a fucking kid and I saw those fucking purple wings and those red eyes, I was
Yeah.
oh, it was so good.
It was fucking awesome. Hell yeah. Oh man, Burial's such a fucking cool boss.
I love him so much.
Like, he's iconic.
very much. I beat the campaign 3 times on normal, hard, and very hard. I eventually installed Style Switcher so I could improvise more in combat. I had a good time with this game, and at times I
need to do that.
absolutely loved it.
Normally I would criticize someone, but also he's just kind of referencing that he did it because he was interested, and I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, no, and I also don't blame anybody for implementing Style Switcher. I think that DMC3 is perfectly fine as it is, and it was very clearly made with one style in mind, especially considering the fact that I don't know if we've discussed this before. We probably have. I've played the Switch version, or at least on video. I've played the Switch version of DMC3,
Yeah, me too.
and style switching with every weapon available just at all times is extremely fun.
Hell
However,
yeah.
the game is very clearly not built around it.
Yeah, because like once you start
you're overpowered as fuck.
yeah, like once you learn how to string the different styles together, you will rock the enemy's world. Like you will fuck them up. And it's satisfying, especially as someone who played the fucking PS2 version of DMC3 where normal mode was hard mode. But yeah. It's good shit. Good rap.
True.
Okay? Okay. So let's talk about the camera. It's immediately a problem by the second fight. And it's because the action is so fast and frantic, and the fixed perspective often leads to enemies being off-screen.
Okay.
Are you starting to see why people don't like having a fixed camera angle in DMC?
So this is kind of an H Bomber Guy Dark Souls 2 moment. He's got the premise right. The camera in this game can absolutely be finicky, for sure. But what's the conclusion going to be? Let me rewind this for full context because I wanna get this right.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the camera. It's immediately a problem by the second fight. And it's because the action is so fast and frantic, and the fixed perspective often leads to enemies being off screen, far more than in DMC 1, because that was a slower game. Here things are flying around all the time, and while you can adjust the camera, sometimes I was unable to get it to move unless I stopped moving myself. And it's just awkward to have to take your thumb off the face buttons just to make an adjustment to the camera that may not even work because depending on where you're standing, the camera will only rotate so far. And
So, specifically with DMC3, I will agree because there's a lot of cramped rooms in that game. Like, really, there's a lot of cramped rooms in that game.
True. Yeah, mostly I agree with his take. However, I don't necessarily think it's a problem too often. That being said, it is a fixed camera angle. It can only do so much, and I think that they tried to account for that.
Well, DMC3 is
Because
split because sometimes it's a fixed camera and sometimes you have
it's
a
free.
pretty standard third-person action camera.
But I think that they tried to account for that with the camera being like so relatively close to Dante because the sound cues in the game are probably the best they've ever been in the series.
Yeah, they're very concise for sure.
Yeah, they're very concise, and pretty much every single enemy has a very distinct sound cue. I remember, I think probably the most like vivid memory I have of DMC3 is like the first time that I played when I was a kid. And I got to mission 2 and the rats showed up. Jesus Christ, that sound that they make.
Yeah. I agree with this premise. The camera can sometimes be finicky and having to rotate it because it's slow in DMC3 too. Like you don't have a option to crank that sensitivity up or anything. Um, I'm just curious what his conclusion. I think I know what his conclusion is going to be, but I guess we'll find out.
then the camera absolutely freaks out whenever you're near a wall. Like I said in my DMC1 video, you gotta give the win to God of War here.
God fucking damn it.
Why are we making that? What? I mean,
Yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah, this is another thing that pisses me off. We don't have to have wins, guys.
I don't
I
even.
I I I know that it's very tempting whenever you've got two very different but similar properties to like give one the win in this regard or something like that. But we don't have to. Like this is not a contest, guys.
I'm so what? I I was not expecting this to become a comparison thing. I thought he was gonna talk. I thought he was gonna lead into like. So
I don't
here,
think anybody would. I don't think anybody would expect that because it's so fucking like God of War has no relevance here. We're not talking about
imagine,
God of War. We're talking about DMC3.
imagine, like let's say hypothetically that in my Elden Ring video, I'm like talking about how the camera is really dog ass poo poo shit. And, I go to Melania and how she can jump around, and that can sometimes fuck with the camera, or Rykard because he's so big that it fucks with kids. Just things like that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you have to give the win to Call of Duty here for being in first person and totally controllable. Like, oh, all right, hello. We're talking.
Yeah, sick.
I mean, I could do that, and it's not wrong because, yeah, I guess objectively, metrically, measurably speaking, Call of Duty's camera is more functional more consistently than Elden Ring's, but what the fuck is the point of saying that? What does that do?
Yeah,
Like, it's funny to mess with Elden Ring fans because they're super sensitive, and if you say Call of Duty's better in any regard, it would totally blow their fucking head off, but I don't know, man. I don't know where this is supposed to... What was the point of this? Why are we here?
just to suffer. I think so.
Every night, I can feel my leg, my arm,
I can feel my
even my fixed camera.
Even my fixed camera.
It's like they're still there.
In God of War, they pull back and let you see more of the battlefield. Sometimes they really pull back and
Kind of reminds me of Devil May Cry 5, actually. The camera pulls back. You can control how far back it pulls and have more control. Oh man, isn't that great?
Yeah, yeah, it's wonderful. But no, it doesn't have a fixed. It doesn't have a fixed camera angle, guys. It's so bad. I hate it here.
I I let's just fuck it.
great dramatic framing of the environment, so you can both focus on the fight with clear visibility and admire the location you're in. I know I mention God of War every time, but it's my frame of reference.
Yes,
I think that
You
one
can't-
thing Call of Duty does exceptionally better than Elden Ring is allowing you to keep your focus and camera locked on the enemy at all times through your own acquired skill through play versus Elden Ring, which just gives you an instant lock on, and it's nowhere near as functional or efficient.
yes, you do mention Elden or not Elden. God, shut the fuck. God damn. Yes, you do mention God of War like every single fucking time that you talk about a game, but you can't just say it, okay, and then just immediately move to just invalidating the whole fucking reason that we're met. Stop. You don't need to bring up God of War in every single video. I understand, like, especially if something is in the same genre, like, I get comparisons sometimes, but this has nothing to like. They're just.
I also don't like in all seriousness, no trolling. I think this fails to bring the magnifying glass to the problems with Devil May Cry 3. It's just saying, hey, God of War does this, and it does this also, and I think that's better. Like, there's no...
Yeah.
I don't know.
The real problem is that Devil May Cry 3 relies on the fixed camera system, which, in fairness, despite the fact that it was in DMC 1, it was flawed from the start, even if it was brought about as a result of technical limitations. Yes, occasionally we do get great and amazing shots that look wonderful. I can remember a few of them off the top of my head from DMC 1 and 3. However, the problem is the camera has never been good enough to actually support the action to its fullest extent. That's the problem. You don't need to talk about God of War to say that. And you don't need to give God of War some kind of free win by taking pot shots at DMC3 as a result of it.
Yeah, I don't think this, I don't see the point of this comparison.
And I think it does a few things objectively better. In Devil May Cry...
Oh, objectively, huh? Are we being objective now?
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because DMC1 originally came from an early build of Resident Evil 4, but I feel like the angles don't frame this kind of combat the way it should. Look at early RE4 builds.
Okay, we're talking about RE4 now.
I agree and disagree. There are some shots and some camera angles that don't do a good job of showing us the action, but for the most part, especially in DMC 1 and 3, I would make the argument they're pretty good. And in DMC 4, despite having fixed camera angles, 90% of the time that you're in action, you have complete control over the camera.
Yeah, I feel like this kind of thing is hard to talk about because when it comes to fixed cameras, unless there's like a consistent pattern for the framing of an arena, I feel like it has to be a case-by-case thing. If you find that the game is consistently struggling to do that, then you can talk about that. Or if it's doing consistently well, you can talk about that. But otherwise, yeah, it's a case-by-case thing. I can recall some cameras in Devil May Cry 3 that are fucking duty, but I can recall some that are fantastic. I don't know the ratio or whatever, I feel like for the most part it's pretty good because nothing sticks out as like especially dog shit.
Yeah, and it could just be that I've gotten used to it because, again, I've played this game a lot, but I don't really particularly remember too many instances where Devil May Cry 3, like, more often than not, the game will do a good job of framing the action rather than doing a bad one. And also, something that I just remembered that I think is really cool is that it doesn't do it for all of them, but for a decent number of enemies in the game, if they are obscuring Dante in some way from the camera, they will turn slightly transparent.
Yeah, and I think that's something that Devil May Cry typically does a really good job with is like, oh, okay, we recognize this enemy is like taking up a very significant chunk of the camera. We're gonna turn up their transparency, make it easier on you. It's like, hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's been doing that since DMC 1. It doesn't do it with enemies, but it does it with objects for the most part. If there's something that the player has to pass through and it's going to obscure Dante, and 90% of the time it will turn transparent enough for you to see, but still transparent enough for the object to be present in the player's view so that they can perceive it, which is really fucking cool, by the way, and not a lot of games do that.
Yeah, it's very smart.
By that I mean I haven't seen a single fucking character action game or action RPG that does that, even though it's extremely fucking smart, and more should start doing that.
Not even just action games, like fixed camera games, like old school Resident Evil. Like, I feel like turning some. I don't remember if the oldest games in the series do it, but I can recall some moments where I was like, I really wish that wasn't like taking up so much of my view.
Yeah, I get that.
It's been a while since I've played them though, so I can't really think of any like super strong examples. Anywho,
Yeah, in
Resident Evil 4.
Anywho, yeah, Resident Evil 4. Anywho, we don't need to turn this into a fucking spitting contest between DMC 3 and God of War. Like, this is just stop it. Stop doing this.
See how the moving camera frames Leon. This is why DMC 1 looks the way it does, and this camera style is still present in DMC 3. I love the dramatic framing of a lot of the levels, but the action has accelerated to a point where sometimes, it just doesn't work.
Dude, this is fucking...
I don't know, because this is another one where I'm kind of like, because you can hear the sloth screeching right before it attacks.
Not only that, but I feel like, I don't know.
And it's a pretty sizable telegraph too. Like,
sometimes
if you listen to it, you've got a few
work.
seconds before it attacks. Like, it screeches and then it teleports. It screeches for a solid like 2 seconds and then it teleports.
Well, and even
Like,
if you wanted to make the argument, and I think you could, that there's so much noise it's hard to keep track of that kind of thing, I would still argue that this entire criticism could just as easily be levied against something else. For instance, you could say, oh, I don't think it's an issue with the camera, I think it's an issue with the enemy being so fast that the camera couldn't even account for it, or something like that. Like, I don't know, this feels like an argument that you could make towards a bunch of things, but it wouldn't really be particularly valid against any of them, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those cases where with DMC 3 and 2, I think the fixed angles weren't necessarily something that... I don't think that they were done because of the fact that they wanted to. I think that they were more so done because of, again, technical limitations, because the less things that are on screen, the easier it is for the game to process and run it.
That too.
And then in DMC 4, I think it was a matter of, well, we've done it so much at this point that it's kind of just something we're used to. And then finally, with DMC, everybody was like, oh, thank God, because everybody had been complaining about it for years. Like, this is by no means a new complaint. And then in DMC 5, they were like, all right, cool, we're just going to take it out. And then order was restored. But yeah, more often than not, DMC 3 is very good at framing its action. And even when it's not able to account for everything, they account for everything by making it to where the sound design is distinct enough for every single enemy that you know what they're about to do. Like, nobody is, like, you should never be, like, taken by surprise whenever you get hit by a Wrath. Not only because of the distinct groaning sound for their normal movement, but also when they're about to, like, actually attack, they make the most ungodly, unsettling screech I've ever heard in my fucking life. It gives me nightmares, dude.
Yeah, I guess in reference to, like, this specific showing, like, I don't think the example is very good, but I think this particular arena doesn't frame the action very well, and it's hard to because it's a kind of cramped rectangle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, it's a case by case because, like, he just showed the shot of and it's not combat, but, like, it still does a good job of, like, telling you everything you need to know.
Or like he showed
the bridge leading up to Virtual 1. He showed that, and I was like, again, it's not combat, but That was a
Yeah, or
pretty
like
good example.
or like
Or
he also
this.
showed. Yeah, or like he also showed Love Planet from Mission 3, which is actually like, despite being cramped, it's actually very good with its camera. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
very
agree. It's really, really good.
it's very rare that you're going to have an enemy obscured from view in that.
And the very first mission would also be a pretty good example. It's a pretty cramped area, but oh man, it's like
Everything is on screen constantly. Yeah,
it's like the
and
perfect first arena.
absolutely just a cramped space, but there's literally nothing in your way. It's just an open, small cuboid sandbox, and I love it.
Yep. And then they go really crazy in mission 2 and turn it into a rectangle, and it's like, whoa, hey.
It if there's one thing that I want out of a DMC6, it's the ability to just freely explore some areas. I would like that because DMC's world is so fascinating and so interesting. And I know it's a character action game, but I would really just I would love to be able to explore some of its environments, especially when they're not extremely fucked up.
Yeah. Oh, and now that I think about it, because his example he showed was from a small rectangle. Mission 2 is in a small rectangle, yet Mission 2 works pretty well. Why do you think that is? Well, I think it's because it has more space to occupy. I think it's just a little bit bigger, and it's more um, like there's actual space where there's not a wall.
Yeah.
Dude, this is fucking ridiculous.
There are moments in the work.
And I also want to mention there's like a solid second before the attack winds as well. I know he was in the middle of an action, but again, we've harped on about it. I don't think this one is. I don't think this death is the game's fault, especially if you're actually listening to the sound instead of just the visuals.
Yeah.
Dude, this is fucking ridiculous.
There are moments in DMC3 where the camera actually does pull back, but there's no combat in these spaces. This is the exact kind of place where I want to be fighting. The camera is just too close to the character in this game, and it makes me enjoy fights less than I could have, like the Cerberus boss fight. I understand a lot of DMC fans love this fight, and I guess I can see why. His really fast movements and attack variety probably make him a challenging.
Do a lot of DMC fans love this fight for the
Yeah, actually, I don't think Cerberus is actually one of the bosses that I've like soured on more and more as time goes on. I don't think there's that many people that like him.
Yeah,
People,
I think it's a respectable boss. It's iconic in a certain way. It's the first like real holy fuck this is hard moment of the game. But
yeah,
like
people respect this boss for like forcing the player not to just do nothing but mash the entire time. But I don't know many people. I don't see many people ranking Cerberus too highly. If I were to do a boss tier list for the entire series, like most of the bosses in DMC3 wouldn't be very high, but Cerberus definitely wouldn't be very high.
yeah, Cerberus would be like he'd be below if we're, doing them all separately. He'd be below all the Virgil fights, probably below Beowulf, definitely below Agni and Rudra. Uh yeah, I could think of a few bosses where Cerberus is I think Garion's better than Cerberus, honestly.
I don't fault you for that because even though I'm not a fan of Gary and his arena is a lot more open, and I also like the added depth of being able to attack him while you're on top of his carriage.
Yeah. But also,
Yeah, I do not.
as far as the action, back to Mayo's point, the camera. I mean, I think the camera in this fight's really good. It keeps him in pretty much with everything other than when he charges at you, which is, I mean, it's a charge. He bounces right back anyways, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, there's not a point in this fight where Cerberus is not clearly on screen. And again, once again, based Hideaki Itsuno moment, all of his attacks have distinct sound cues. I would say that his swipe and headbutt attacks need a bit more wind up because they come out just a bit too fast.
I think the
But
headbutt, yeah, the headbutt's really like surprising whenever it happens.
yeah, like there's never a moment where I predict that the headbutt comes out. It's always shit. The headbutt just came out. But yeah,
Yeah.
all of his attacks again have distinct sound cues, and they've got such distinct. Like if you're at a distance, like there's never a fucking moment where like
You don't know
it's
what's gonna happen next.
yeah, like it's never Cerberus's fault that you get hit whenever you're far away.
Yeah,
His
see,
attacks are all very well telegraphed.
it's the elusive man's fault.
But rewarding fight to master.
No, no, I don't think anybody finds Cerberus rewarding. To be honest with you,
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like,
every time I fight Cerberus, it's more of like, okay, here we go. Like it's a chore more than it is like
it's
an
nice.
enjoyable experience.
It's nice whenever you pop one of the heads. It's like, oh, cool, I got one. So now, like, it's like this immediate relief of like, okay, that's a lot less challenge to do. Like, you're working the challenge down. It's really cool.
If we were to talk about a boss that is a fun and rewarding experience to master, but
Virgil
is
one,
held-
baby.
well, not necessarily, yeah, but if we're talking about a boss that is a hard but tough experience, an enjoyable experience to master, but is kind of held back by the camera, I would say Agni and Rudra is a better candidate than Cerberus.
Oh, held back by the camera. Yeah, definitely Agni and Rudra. Because again, it's just it's a small fucking rectangle. These fucking rectangles, man.
Yeah. Also, by the way, if you've never done the Agni and Rudra fight, by taking out one of the brothers and leaving most of the other brothers' health bar, I would highly recommend it. I would highly recommend it. Fan fucking tastic.
It's really fun.
It's extremely tense. It's enjoyable. Oh, so it's also a lot more satisfying than just killing them both almost instantly. I like killing them both almost instantly. It's a nice element of strategy. It's a nice element of strategy, but I think everybody should experience the what's obviously probably the way that Itsuno intended at least once.
Absolutely, yeah. And also, I mean, to credit to Agni and Rudra, they have a very I don't know what the exact rate of it is or whatever, but they will regularly reposition to the corners of the arena and then jump back into the middle. So even though the camera is not the greatest, you never feel like you don't know where they are, which is fucking great.
Yeah, because I feel like the main thing that trips the camera up is that it wants Agni and Rudra on screen at all times, which is good. And so because of that, it can cause it to act a bit weird. But again, I think that they knew that, and them repositioning was them accounting for that. Because I think they do so every like at least 30 seconds.
Something like that. Or maybe after taking so much damage.
Yeah.
But in my experience, I found it too frustrating to get close to him. Not necessarily because of his fast, dangerous attacks, but because the camera is so zoomed in that I can't really get a visual read on what he's doing or what attack he's telegraphing.
Okay, that one was your fault.
So
that one was just that clip was blatantly your fault.
So I will say, this is a thing even I still struggle with, and his conclusion's right, but his premise is wrong, if that makes sense. He's right that it's a struggle to do that consistently and well, but I think the actual reason for it is the fact that Cerberus is built for aerial combat, because you want to use aerial combat to focus on his heads, but DMC3 does not have the mobility options in the air to account for, oh, Cerberus is now winding up an attack, what can I do?
Yeah, because if you don't have air hike, you're basically like fucked if he does an attack in the air.
Yeah, or Trickster.
Or air trick. Which is a shame. And I think that I haven't tried it, maybe I should. I think Cerberus might end up being a much more enjoyable enemy to fight if you
style switching,
but also if you don't have style switching, I think it would be a much more enjoyable fight if you had one of the weapons that actually has aerial attacks that aren't slam downs like Helmbreaker.
Yeah.
And Trickster air trick. I think he would probably be a much more enjoyable boss to fight if you had both of those. Which, hey, I should definitely try that.
Style switching, especially because of, I mean, Ebony and Ivory, you get the heavy rainstorm. Is that what no, that's Virgil. What the fuck's it called?
It's just rainstorm.
Okay, yeah. Like with that, obviously Royal Guard, and then Trickster to dodge. Like you have, it's like, oh, Cerberus is winding up an attack. I now have like so many options.
Yeah, it's one of the few cases where I would say that yes, style switching absolutely helps. Apart from
Oh, yeah.
Cerberus, though, I think most of the other bosses are very good about not needing style switching.
Yeah, for sure.
While I'm slashing at him, it honestly was a better option to just sit back and spam pistols.
Yes, and that's
I
why
saw the
nobody likes him.
DSP footage where that's the first thing he attempted, and he nearly beat Cerberus on the first try in like 2 minutes. And then he tried fighting up close and just got clobbered over and over. So the message is, if you're not good at the game yet, it's better to just stay back and shoot him. And you gotta realize most people...
I don't know about that.
I do not think that that's the message that is being imparted here, like at all. I think the message is, I think it's more so just a case that the boss isn't necessarily designed for all play styles in mind. The message that the boss is
Yeah.
giving you is not to mash mindlessly, because it will get, like Phantom in DMC 1, it will get you to that point. It will not get you past it.
There's something you also have to bear in mind. Margin for error goes up as time does. So, like, the longer you sit back, which you're going to be doing longer because you're dealing less damage, because it's ebony and ivory, that means Cerberus gets more attacks off, which, you know, you might think, yeah, I'll keep dodging them, but you might mess up. So, there's that to consider also.
Yeah, you should definitely be finishing fights in DMC as quickly as possible, and I think that the game absolutely feels the exact same way, which
Yeah.
is why it used to grade you on time.
And, like, because it's like, yeah, it's more dangerous to go up to Cerberus, especially your first time fighting him, and do melee, but it's also more rewarding, so you have to bear that in mind.
Yeah, you get you get shit tons of damage on Cerberus if you
Once you break the ice.
yeah, once you break the ice and you use melee attacks.
Yeah, like,
Um,
especially if you know, later playthrough, if you have Agni and Rudra and Swordmaster in the air, you fucking destroy them.
Yeah, especially if you do the aerial Mavon and
Oh, yeah.
Agni and Rudra loop. Yeah, no, so yeah, I agree. He's got the premise correct, but the conclusion is absolutely bass backwards.
I totally forgot about the Agni and Rudra and Navon loop. Whee! That was awesome.
I've never actually done it too many times myself, but the few times that I have done it, like, it's so fucking cheap, but God, is it satisfying.
Hell yeah.
playing for their first time are going to suck. They aren't going to understand the boss behaviors, and the
Okay, that was
I
so
don't-
telegraphed. Look at that attack you just got. Like, come on, bro.
it's better to just
look at
stay
it
back
again.
and shoot him. And you gotta realize, most people playing for their first
Right
time
here.
are going to suck. They aren't going to understand
Bro, he's winding up his. All right.
That's just-
good at the game yet.
This is a certified under the Mayo Devil May Cry moment where he just stands in front of an attack, taking it, and then he's like, "Look, the game caught me off." It's like, bro, like, come on.
So, you guys remember those times that I've told you, like, throughout, like, almost every single instance of us doing a S.E.E.S video where you shouldn't have footage that makes you look bad? This is one of those instances.
Yet, it's better
Oh,
to just stay
man.
back and shoot him. And you gotta realize, most
I
people
want to time this wind up here. Let me just.
playing
glad
for
we
their
had the
first
exact
time
same
are
idea.
going to
All right, so he officially starts pulling back at 10:05.
suck. They aren't
Yeah,
gonna
10:05.
understand the boss behaviors.
You had 3 seconds. You had 3 full seconds of that boss, and he has an audio telegraph too, because he growls before he
Yeah.
does that.
Oh man, that was oof. Like that was so. Like that was waterfowl dance levels of telegraphed. Except this time it wasn't a bullshit attack. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, that was all on you. I don't know. Granted, he's not necessarily complaining about that one, but
I mean, he's showing it while making the argument of it's dangerous to go up and just wail on Cerberus, you know, trying to use melee, which it is dangerous to do that, but
also, like, you literally let him hit you in the face here.
yeah, like come on, bro.
And the camera being so close when you're in his face certainly doesn't help. On repeat playthroughs, sure, I play a lot more in his face and I take him down faster this way.
Because you got better at the game and you learned it. Isn't that awesome?
It's almost like the game has a specific message that it's telling you, and it's not telling you to hold back. It wants you to go forward. It's almost like there's also multiple other bosses that promote this very same. I mean, for fuck's sake, Vanguard promotes this message.
I'm just saying, what the fuck is this? This isn't telling me anything about the camera. I'm just throwing it out there.
This is more so a critique on Cerberus.
Yeah, and what it comes down to is
which
he's hard, and I got better later on. It's like, well, yep, imagine that.
yeah,
It's
that's
kind of like how
at least,
it's kind of like how parrying is like super high risk in Souls games, but if you learn how to parry, oh man, the final boss in Dark Souls, you just fucking bam bam bop.
yeah, but no, it's a bad thing.
Yep.
Um,
I
I mean, granted, like, I don't get me wrong. I do believe that there are plenty of things that you can criticize about Cerberus, but this is not the method that you should be using to do so. This is just kind of you're just wrong on the conclusion and semi wrong on the premise too, because you're acting as though the camera is what kills Cerberus's boss fight.
Yeah.
When, if
What
anything,
about the
that's one
camera?
of the better aspects.
What about the camera in Devil May Cry 3 influenced you to run up to Cerberus while he's charging an attack for several seconds and just continue to wail on him? What about the camera made you... I don't know.
Yeah, that wasn't the camera's fault, buddy. You made the choice to not do anything as you as you saw this man wind up to fucking hit you.
Yeah.
But like, go off, go off. I guess, girly pop. Go ahead.
Go off, King.
but not really because I've figured out the fight, more so because I have enough HP and Devil Trigger to survive being up close.
I mean, that also helps. It's both. Like, what do you mean
Well,
not
yeah,
because of this, but
both
because of this?
both helps. Increasing your survivability helps, and you're also getting better at the. You're not beating. Trust me, you are not beating Cerberus because of the fact that you are just cheesing him, unless you have a shit ton of items.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry, teehee, it's not happening.
So I didn't enjoy Cerberus all that much. Hell, even on my third time against him playing on very hard, I still didn't enjoy him. Because I'm just not in the headspace to want to study him.
Well,
Okay, I am
cool.
also going to heavy criticize his script structure here because we're supposed to be talking about the camera right now. We shifted from
Yeah.
talking about how the camera fucks up framing the action and providing a consistent view for the player, and now he's just talking about how he doesn't like Cerberus. Like, you can do seamless transitions and segues. This is not one of them. This just makes you feel unfocused.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if I were to make a list about, like, if I were to make a video essay based upon a list of different things, it would not behoove me to, for no reason at all, just talk about something completely unrelated to that out of nowhere with, like, no preface or not explaining why I'm doing it.
It's fine in like a passing moment. Like there's one point, talking about my own content with the Elden Ring critique with Melania, what is it that I start off saying? This is only in the span of like 15 seconds, but I start off saying something to the effect of Melania's Phase 2 has two particular moves that stand out in her moveset. There's this one, and also because of this one, I noticed another problem with her fight, that being the massive butterflies that obscure her attacks, and it's just like a passing reference, and then I go right back to talking about the moves. Um, it's fine to like trail off for a second, and I know it's funny coming from us, Mr. and Mrs. fucking 22-minute opening that wasn't even about either of these things, but I don't know, man. I'm high.
No, you're not. You're not supposed to talk about it. Oh my god. No, don't talk about your vital stars.
No, I'm in the silly zone now. To be fair, Mayo pushed me over the ledge into it, but god damn it, I'm here.
See him more as an obstacle I need to get past in order to see the rest of the game, which
I mean, that's what a boss should be, but go off.
That's pretty much what a boss fight is, yeah.
Like, go off. My mental state right now is Cerberus's middle head there.
I'm getting fucking glitching through the floor. Oh my god. I'm being pushed into the silly zone by my gingerbread cookie, and I'm being pushed into the other silly zone by under the mayo. My brain is getting fried, spit roast fried, and it's fucking me up, man.
It's time to get serious, is what I would say if things were not about to get very silly.
This party's getting crazy. Let's rock.
I enjoy far more. Because this game does get really good. But what makes it good is the combat mechanics, the variety of stylish options and weapons at your disposal, and
so we're just not talking about the camera anymore. Like, it's just not happening.
I don't... This man's
Most of all,
segues be fucking me up.
the challenge that pushes you to not play like a moron. DMC3 is an infamously difficult game. The original American release
Yeah, it's hard. It's an actually hard game.
Yeah, it's very it's very not easy for
Unlike
shoresies.
unlike fucking stinky, smelly poo-poo Elden Ring fucking baby mode game compared to this shit.
Oh god, Elden Ring fucking
No, unironically,
sucks.
Devil May Cry 3 on Dante Must Die is way fucking harder than Elden Ring or any of the Souls games on, except for maybe
Oh
Sekiro.
yeah. It's so fucking hard, dude. Holy shit.
Fucking pee pee poo poo, haha.
had a normal mode that was actually set to hard mode in Japan and Europe. So American
Yeah, those devious fucking pranksters over there.
Yeah, because everybody complained about DMC. Rightfully so, everybody complained about
Yeah.
DMC2 being too easy, and then they were like, all right, you know what? Fuck you. There's no way you're gonna say that it's easy now. It's literally the wrong difficulty.
Itsuno, despite being on DMC2 for like a fucking month probably, was he took that personally.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then he made DMC3. I wonder if hard mode. It would be really funny if like they still had the same amount of difficulties. So like hard mode was just normal mode.
Oh man, the fuck.
That'd be fucking hilarious.
I have the
I need to make
original.
games.
I have the original DMC2 on PS. I have that one too, but I also have Devil May Cry 3 on PS2, the original, not special edition, where hard mode is normal or normal mode is hard mode. Fuck, saying God words, but yeah, it's really hard, is what I'm trying to fucking say.
I could get the original DMC3 through completely, definitely, perfectly legal means. Hee.
Yo ho, yo ho.
Yar
players got an extra dose of suffering. The HD collection that I'm playing on standardizes the difficulty, so I played on the true normal setting on my first playthrough. And let me tell you, normal is no joke for a new player. Normal in DMC3 is like normal in Ninja Gaiden Black. It's hard, especially if you're not a seasoned player.
At least he can fucking admit that. I was just waiting for him to be like, guys, Devil May Cry 3 is not hard either. Like, come on.
Trust me, I was too, and thankfully he's sensible enough not to try and go through that hot take.
I think even he knows that people would just start calling him a fucking liar if that was the case, because he would be, obviously.
I mean, people still are. He just doesn't listen.
True.
When you start the game, you're given the option of gold or yellow, and it doesn't...
Hey, Lucy, gold, yellow, east side, west side, which are you?
I always do gold.
Based.
Now, granted, I will admit, the gold and yellow system is kind of somewhere that I think that the game could have done a better job of explaining.
Oh yeah,
however,
when I first got the game, I was like, what's the difference?
However, one thing that I will say is that what he's about to bring up, I don't think is necessarily the game's fault entirely.
Doesn't say what that means. I'm assuming that was left for the included booklet. So this is the continue mode. Yellow is the classic DMC1 continue mode that I enjoyed so much in that game. If you die, you have to spend a yellow orb to restart in the previous room. If you run out of yellow orbs, you have to restart the whole level. I felt this added an excellent degree of pressure in DMC1 because I was forced to choose between buying more continues or investing in upgrades. I would regularly stock up on health potions just to avoid death, and this...
I will say, there are some missions in DMC3, especially like when you're first playing the game, like mission 15 on yellow mode, it's like, oh fuck, this will never end.
Some of these missions are very brutal. Oh god, mission 17. Whew!
Oh man.
Oh doggy. All those bosses.
Can't fuck with that
All
shit.
those fucking bosses.
So many bosses.
This kept me from just dumping everything into making myself more powerful.
He says as I stupidly invest into air hike as my very first ability.
Who the fuck doesn't?
That's what I'm saying, bro. Air hike, I can't live without that. That's my true love right there.
Exactly. Air hike and enemy step. They are the combat.
Oh my god, when my fiance gets home, I'm gonna be like, girl, you my air hike, and she's gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
and then you're gonna tell me about it. And I'm gonna be like, "Yo, she don't know how she don't know how significant that statement is, but it is." That's like the hugest compliment ever. One day, I'm gonna tell a girl, "Hey, girly pop, you my goddamn enemy step," and then she's gonna
Oh
be like,
yeah, I
"Lucy,
mean,
what the fuck are you talking about?" And I'm gonna be like, "Hey, yo, you ever heard of Devil May Cry?"
and then when she says
Featuring
yes,
Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
then when she says yes, that's how you know she the one. She the real one. Oh yeah, I'm engaged.
I loved making those tough decisions with
Wow, just fucking let the fucking video play over.
I was waiting for you to pause it.
Hey guys, I'm engaged. Emphasis on the gay.
Oh shit, no. He's so gay, guys.
Me and my fucking my headset died. Oh god. Oh nah. Can't be having that. No sir.
Oh, that's so gay.
Look.
Why would you let your
Uh-oh.
headset die? That's so stupid. Oh my
I'm
God,
a
fucking
dum
moron.
dum.
Fucking dummy, fucking stupid.
It's
bitch.
funny. You're gonna be playing
You
through
look-
in the video, but I can't hear you right now. So this is like I'm
Stupid
living through a
ass-
deleted scene,
stupid ass bitch, cucky wucky, hee
but I don't
going
get to
three,
perceive it.
haha.
It's fucking wild.
Oh my God. Yo, that pussy steaky wanky.
Fuck. Oh shit, my headset being dead is no bueno.
See, what Loveless doesn't know is that Nightmare is like one of the best bosses.
Alright,
in
alright,
season
hold
one.
up. I wonder how many sentences you're actually getting to finish while I just fucking interject
He's
all
gonna
of a
be like,
sudden.
he's gonna be like so pissed whenever he hears it. But like, don't worry. One day he'll see the light and he'll accept reality.
Who needs to accept reality? What?
Mayonnaise, obviously.
Oh yeah. Was that enjoyable to listen to? Me being a dum-dum?
Yes, and I hope that the audience enjoys what they have to look forward to.
I gotta figure out what you done said.
You can figure out later.
regularly stock up on health potions just to avoid death, and this kept me from just dumping everything into making myself more powerful. I loved making those tough decisions with limited resources. But I heard that DMC3 players prefer gold mode because yellow is super punishing and frustrating. I did not listen. I needed to try yellow for myself, and my god, it's brutal. I liked it for a while, but by level 5, dying several times at the centipede boss and having to replay the entire tower section over and over, I just got tired of it.
That is so real, honestly.
That is very real. This is one of those cases where I don't think it is necessarily the game's fault because you knew what you got yourself into.
But I deeply relate.
I also deeply relate. However, again, I don't think it's something that you can necessarily. I don't think it warrants criticism because you knew what you were getting yourself into.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't played.
So-
DMC3 was my first, so I didn't know this fucking yellow gold shit. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. My first was DMC4, and then DMC1 was actually my second, thankfully.
So I restarted the game on gold mode.
Yes.
DMC1 being your second after 4 is so interesting to me.
It was just what I had access to.
Yeah, I'm just, thinking about like, oh, wow, you perceive the story without, because I had Virgil first. That was,
Yeah.
interesting to think.
Mode, which has infinite continues letting you restart in the previous room, but also has super expensive gold orbs that can revive you right there in the middle of combat.
Which makes
This
sense.
is how I remember DMC 5 being.
It's really such a good balancing act. Like,
It is.
and
And
it's
the game's
so
very good at it.
and it's so good for people who just feel more comfortable in different, load environments, I guess I'll call it.
Yeah.
I'm
Different
correct.
stress environments is probably a better word.
Maybe, yeah.
This definitely felt a lot better. It was less frustrating. I was just so tired of going through an entire level and dying at the boss, and now I'm back at the beginning of the level because I ran out of orbs.
Jeez, it's almost like that's the entire reason that this sort of system exists and is the way that it is.
Yeah.
And that not everything needs to be focused on being as difficult as physically possible.
You know, it's really funny. This would seem to run counterintuitive to his whole, like, fucking
Shtick.
thesis of difficult. It's gotta be hard. It's gotta be hard.
At this point, it's basically a fucking gimmick, if we're being honest.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
N-
I'm super simplifying what he says, but it's, I mean, that's
Yeah,
pretty much the point of it.
I get you. And yes, you're correct. It does run a bit counter to it, but let's see what he has to say. Maybe he'll be able to justify it in a way that doesn't make him look like a massive fucking hypocrite.
Maybe.
However, gold mode has a significantly negative impact on resource management.
Yes, that's the balancing act.
I wouldn't even say that it has a negative impact on resource management, though.
Well, doesn't
like like he just said, obviously red orbs are your primary resource and everything like that. And if you want to have continues frequently, or if you want to have gold orbs frequently, they're super expensive. Otherwise, you're going to have to just restart in the previous room.
right?
So you have to think about: do I want to be able to go through things a bit easier, or would I prefer to get another skill and hopefully have the skill to just get through it in one shot rather than having to rely on a gold orb? I would say that DMC 3 and 4 handled this balancing act basically picture perfect. And of course, if you die, you get a negative rank, which affects how many orbs you're going to get at the end of the mission, which is less of the resource that you need to go through the game.
Yeah, it, it doesn't
You
feel
know
like
what I
it
would?
doesn't feel like there's much of a difference, really.
Yeah, I don't think the point he's making about the resource management being
I just don't.
poorly handled in gold. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't see. I'll let him continue. Maybe he elaborates on it, but
Being,
I don't
if I'm
know.
correct. This definitely felt a lot better. It was less frustrating. I was just so tired of going through an entire level and dying at the boss, and now I'm back at the beginning of the level because I ran out of orbs. However, gold mode has a significantly negative impact on resource management. Now I never feel like I need to buy health potions. If I die, I'll just respawn with full health and try again. And since I never felt like I needed to
But okay, I'll let him continue.
buy any items to survive out of that intense fear of having to restart the level, I just put all my orbs into upgrades without thinking about it.
So, okay. Whatever floats your boat, man. I don't.
Yeah, I think this was most. I think at this point we just have to chalk it up to preference because there's never any instance where he actually makes a compelling argument for why this system shouldn't be implemented.
Like, I'm like really struggling to wrap my head around this. Like, why it's a. What have you got, Lucy? What have you got?
I mean, it's we've talked about this specific thing to death, and at this point, I think that again, it's just gonna have to be a case of like, if
Like,
Mayo prefers it, he prefers it, but I don't think there's anything objectively wrong with the system.
it has a. It negatively affects resource management because you don't feel like you need to buy. But you're already disincentivized because it detracts from your mission score. Using items, that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mayo's very big brain, you know? Way too. Bro's like multi-dimensional. I'm like a 2D ant. I don't know. Lucy's fucking stupefied. Ain't even got speech.
I got, like I said, we've covered this to death, and there's literally nothing I can add to this besides if you prefer it that way, go ahead. However, there's nothing objectively wrong with the system, so I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to fucking tell you.
What even is the point of pointing out these differences? I don't know.
To buy any items to survive out of that intense fear of having to restart the level, I just put all my orbs into upgrades without thinking about it. And I'll bet a lot of people have that experience too, because without a real consequence for dying, why do you need to buy items to help you survive?
There is a consequence.
And if you go into yellow orb mode, you will get that. So,
And I think that's part of the reason why the game lets you choose, but also like there's still like even in gold mode there's a consequence for dying.
is
And
the
again,
point that like one mode is
we've been
too
over this.
easy and one mode is too hard? Like, I don't help me out here.
It might be, but normal mode, even on gold, is still hard. I mean, he said as much.
Yeah, it's like this mode is harder in this way because of this, and this mode is easier because of that, but also harder because of that. Like, yeah, you don't say.
That's why I would propose a single change to the gold continue system. I think you should not respawn with full health if that's not the health you...
I'm so tired. I'm so tired of this argument.
Oh my god.
Even if you're at full health, right?
It really annoys me that when I die in the game, I don't die in real life. Like, that's pretty fucking immersion breaking, you know?
Even if you have full health at the end or whenever you restart, okay, you're not suddenly gonna win the next time that you play. If you don't actually have if you don't actually improve upon blah, blah, blah. Just because you respawn with full health doesn't suddenly mean that you're going to win if you don't actually spot like where you need to improve and do so. Like, I'm sorry. It's just
and
that
also
when you like when you're when you are designing a game, right? You have to understand what is a reasonable amount of punishment for the player to take. And if it gets unreasonable, the game gets unnecessarily frustrating. Which is basically the whole thing we've been harping on about for Elden Ring for like fucking years. However, I would say dying is a perfectly reasonable consequence. And thus, respawning the player with full health is perfectly understandable, especially when, if they're going to use the continue system or gold orb, it is going to significantly drop down their rank at the end of a mission, which is going to affect whether or not they can continue to buy things. Because if the player buys a shit ton of gold orbs and then they use them to get through a mission, they're not going to get many, or holy waters or whatever, they're not going to get a big mission end rank, which means they're just going to have to tough it the fuck out next time because they're going to have to grind, which is entirely on them and them alone. The system is working perfectly fine. You simply don't like it, and that's fine. I'm not like neither of us can take it from you. I don't want to. I don't intend to, but it is working fine. It is functioning as the developers intended.
I also just have to wonder, like, holy crap, wouldn't it suck to have to restart in a room with no resources and, like, 1 health? Because the only outcome is you're gonna give up. Well, I mean, you're gonna give up anyway, or you're gonna beat it by just fucking smacking your head against the brick wall till it finally collapses, you know? Like, it's not... I don't know. Maybe that can work out and it'd be like, oh yeah, I finally beat the hard thing. It's like, yeah, but it didn't have, like, there was no reason. You could have saved yourself so much time by just replaying the mission.
And this is what this goes back to what I was talking about when we started this whole like tangent, is that when you are creating a game, you have to understand what is the appropriate amount of punishment for something. Death, okay, sure, the player can respawn but it is going to heavily affect their mission end rank, which is important in this game, at least for your first playthrough. It becomes less important for subsequent playthroughs because that's more focused on testing your skill.
Yeah. And the reason you're doing it anyways is more arbitrary because it's not about buying skills. It's I just want to get an S rank or a double S rank, you know.
Yeah, or I just want to experience the next step up in difficulty.
Yeah. Or I
But
want to play with a super costume and I'll take the point reduction because it's fucking cool.
Yeah, and it's fun, and it should be fun to use super characters. That's your reward.
Yeah. I would argue, though, and I'm sure you would too, you don't even need a mission to end score or any kind of bonus or anything like that to just want to, want to continue or get better. Like,
yeah,
you can die and having to restart even like 10 seconds ago. It's like, fuck. Alright, well, try again. Like, that's all you need.
Yeah. Yeah, like, if Devil May Cry didn't have a mission end ranking, I would still want to get better.
Yeah, there would not be as much motivation, but even still, it's like, ah, fuck, I died. Like, that enough is it's a consequence, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah.
I don't need anything more.
Moral of the story, like, if you don't like it, perfectly fine. I'm not going to take it away from you, but the system is functioning. It is functioning as the developers intended, and you can't take that away from them no matter how much you dislike it.
Yeah.
You had in the previous room. If you had 20% health and you went into a fight and died, you should respawn with 20% health. You should be pressured into healing yourself. This would make you more careful about taking damage, and it would actually make you think about what you're buying in the store so you can survive the next fight. Therefore,
so that was your requirement of item cost in the store.
But the game already does that. Like I said, the game is the system is functioning as the developers intended.
Should not respawn with full health if that's not the health you had in the previous room. If you had 20% health and you went into a fight and died, you should respawn with 20% health. You should be pressured into healing yourself. This would make you more careful about taking damage, and it would actually make you think about what you're buying in the store so you can survive the next fight.
I mean, it might make a person think that way.
I would still say that because every time that I played DMC games for the first time when I was younger, I would always be extremely conscious about the stuff that I was buying in the store and everything, and I would always try my best to be buying stuff to tip the scales in my favor. I would still say that it still forces this. Again,
the pressure already exists. I don't see a point in ramping it up.
Yeah, again, this goes back to how much, what punishment is reasonable and how much should we enforce.
Yeah, and are you willing to put up with it versus the more difficult yellow mode, which obviously handles things differently.
Therefore, red orbs would become a more valuable resource, and there's more reason to play into the style meter so you can get more orbs in combat. All the systems would work together so much better if you were held accountable for your own health bar room to room.
You still are.
Yeah, dude.
because if you don't get green orbs or you don't have a vital star, you're still going to have the same health. If you go into the Virgil fight with half health, you're going to go into the Virgil fight with half health. And if you go into the Virgil fight with full health after continuing, you're still going to lose if you don't learn the boss.
Also,
unless you want to spend a shit ton of money on Holy Waters, which most players are not going to have that much money on their first playthrough.
Also, repeated retries will deduct points from your final score in the mission, so...
the more retries you... I think it does it up to 3. And then, 3 retries will just utterly fucking obliterate you.
So it's like, at that point, if you go into a room with 10% health and you have to fight so many enemies, at that point, you have 3 attempts before your score is fucked, and you have to retry the mission, assuming you're going for, higher scores. Or,
Or you care about your red orbs, which most players will.
yeah, or you end up buying whatever items, and you essentially get that same penalty.
Mm-hmm. Again, the system is functioning as intended.
Yeah, like, there's no need to add... This is a weird analogy, but hear me out. If a bunch of cogs are making each other spin, there's no point in adding an additional cog to a random one of them that's not connected or contributing in any way.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Or there's no point. There's no
I'm
point.
thinking on a weird level right now, but hear me out.
Okay. So I think a slightly better analogy would be if you have 5 cogs in a machine and all 5 cogs are running perfectly, there's no point in splitting up one of the cogs into 2 more cogs.
That too. Yeah.
Despite the lack of health management and pressure to buy items in gold mode, I still had a really good time. Enemies were challenging, combos started flowing out of me very naturally. There didn't seem to be any...
What was that?
Oh, I was just commenting on how I was glad he had fun.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Despite his misgivings.
one easy, brain-dead way to pass every fight. And that's especially true in yellow mode, because playing carelessly will destroy your health bar. Boss fights were creative, unique from each other, and fun, for the most part. I think my favorite bosses are the Heart of Leviathan and Beowulf. Though I think...
That's fucking insane to me.
The Heart of Leviathan. Alright.
Beowulf, I can understand, because he's not exactly a home runner or anything like that, but at least he functions like a normal enemy. He might like the Leviathan because of like the management and puzzle-esque aspect of it, maybe, because, like, depending on which heart you kill, it'll like give you different results in the battle and everything like that. Like, if you focus on the right heart, the left heart will take your devil trigger. I don't remember what the right heart does. Maybe, but it's still not a good fucking boss.
Yeah. I think the right heart is the one that spawns in the enemies.
Probably. So you've got
Leviathan,
so you've got an aspect.
Heart of Leviathan is one of his favorite bosses. Alrighty.
I mean, good for you.
I mean, it's like someone telling me the Adjudicator is their favorite fight in Demon Souls. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm not gonna knock you for it, but it is weird. I don't know. I feel the need to point it out.
The Beowulf fight suffers from the same up-close camera issue, making it hard to read what he's gonna do.
Actually, I would argue, because, again, he does the Agni and Rudra bit, where he will recenter himself after so long back to the end of the room, and that's really helpful for, keeping an eye on where he's going.
And he also has extremely distinct telegraphs for each of the moves he's going to do.
Yep, the stomps, the rearing up to run.
Specifically in the vocal department. He's a very vocal boss.
That too. He's a little shit talker.
Actually, the Beowulf fight really made me realize how much I hate how dodging works in this game.
Alright, L, we're about to talk about dodging.
So there's remember that style switching thing? You can do that in the menus. It's pretty cool.
Even then, I think the dodging in Devil May Cry is very intuitive.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty solid.
I played a lot of games out there, a lot of character action games. I think Devil May Cry has one of my favorite dodge systems. It's just like, it doesn't always work the way I want it to. But that's not necessarily the game's fault.
Is it DMC3? I'm thinking of some game, and it's been a while since I played DMC3. Is it DMC3 where if you dodge to the side with X, you'll actually move in a little bit closer? Is that a thing?
Here, I have the game open. Let me test. No, I think you're thinking of DMC 1.
I think so, yeah. I remember some game. It might not even be Devil May Cry, but I remember some older, action game where if you dodge to the side, it would pull you in closer, and it kind of bothered me.
Hold on 1 second. I've got some enemies near me. Let me just yoinky, yoinky, yoinky. Yeah, no, that's Devil May Cry 1, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, anyways, that annoyed me.
There's no dedicated dodge button. You have to hold lock on and then press left or right plus
Trickster.
jump. The problem is that since there's so much chaos obscuring the camera at
Trickster.
times and enemies bouncing around as you're locked onto them, the game's moving so fast it's very easy to not know exactly what angle Dante is facing. So instead of a side
I would disagree because Dante is always pointing at the enemy. Therefore, you just have to move your left stick perpendicular to where he's looking.
Yeah, I don't.
Like this is very simple.
How would you like?
Don't get me wrong.
How would you like
Don't get me
measure
wrong.
this?
Don't get me wrong. Like I said, he doesn't always respond exactly in the way I want to, but like the system is fine. Most of the time that he doesn't respond the way I want to, it's just because of me not pressing the left stick exactly in the right direction. But
mean-
it is very simple to use.
As long as you can still register who you're locked onto, like, it shouldn't be that fast. Unless you're on turbo mode, in which case you can literally turn the game down, but
Yeah, but the enemies are never that fucking fast.
yeah, they're not waterfowl dancing you, alright? They're actually, like, moving around, doing shit. That makes sense.
side dodge, I instead get a backflip, and then something hits me in the air, like Beowulf's anti-air punches. It happens so many times.
So,
I think that's just one of those things that you have to chalk up to practice.
yeah, because, and I know, haha, you know, I've got however bajillions of hours on DMC, but, like, it didn't really take me that long to figure out the speed for dodging. Like, it's not like you have
Like, it's-
one frame to react or something, you
Yeah.
know?
You all of the enemies are fairly generous with their when you can dodge them, and dodging itself is not like it's not a complicated action.
And it's not as if
it has three inputs involved, and it sounds complicated, but it's not.
yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I don't. And again, I'm not like being an elitist or whatever. Like, I'm so good at the game. It's like, no, you just.
Yeah,
And like,
I think this is.
it helps
I
that
think- I think-
enemies have like, you know, it's not like there are any enemies besides Virgil with like particularly complex movesets, right? Like,
Yeah,
you just gotta watch them and be like, oh, okay, when they do this, I'll do that. You know,
yeah.
pretty-
Like I know how
basic
it
gaming.
could possibly. I know how it could possibly sound, but genuinely, I think this is just one of those things that. Mayo, I'm sorry. I think this is genuinely just one of those things that you just haven't gotten used to yet.
Yeah. And
I
also,
think
Royal
that's
Guard
causing-
exists, so
And I think that's causing you frustration. I'm not saying that frustration isn't necessarily like valid, obviously, because like yeah, it's frustrating when that shit happens. But again, it's
Yeah.
not the game's fault because it has a very simple dodge and it's very intuitive and it works just fine.
and also Trickster and Royal Guard exist, so
This is very true.
It
so,
really
like-
made me miss DMC2's dedicated dodge button. Now, the Devil May Cry 3 players are already typing. If you want a dodge button, you should use Trickster playstyle.
Trickster.
yes, that's one of the things
Yeah,
I said. Yeah.
that is exactly what we were saying. Yes.
That's one of the
or one of
things. I said a few things, but that was one of them.
And yes, I did sometimes, but I hate that I have to give up Swordmaster style in order to access a dodge move. You can't change style during combat.
Well, it's funny you should say that because you do have the base dodge, which itself is fine.
Yeah, like you're not necessarily giving up anything, because you still have the base dodge even in fucking Swordmaster.
Yeah, it's not like the regular dodge requires like multiple seconds of inputting or anything like that. You literally just one of the buttons you have held down all the time anyways, or you don't need to hold it because you tapped it, you set it to toggle, and then you move, which you're probably doing anyways, and then it's just one button essentially.
Yeah.
This reminds me of when Unalive Gaming, good old not living trajectory, when he talked about how all of Dante's stuff should have been relegated to, like, there shouldn't have been styles. Remember that?
Yeah, everything should be relegated to different inputs on the controller, and you should just have a guard button at all times.
Yeah. It was a little weird.
It was very weird. I was very much not a fan.
Me
You
neither.
have to pick a style and basically play the whole level with it. Swordmaster gives you so many great attack options, and in the case of the Ice Shield, defensive options, that it makes the game's combat truly come alive for me. I find the game a lot less fun if I don't have Swordmaster. So
I don't necessarily disagree, but again, the dodge works fine.
Yeah.
And also, you should definitely experiment with Royal Guard. It's a very fun style to get the hang of.
Yeah, I actually think
And-
Mayo
and-
might enjoy that.
And especially in Devil May Cry 3, those sound effects for Royal Guard, mwah, ooh!
Ultra Crunch.
Especially the fucking like hit effects. I know we all love the Royal Guard, the Royal Release in DMC 5, but just how
Yeah.
fucking fast and snappy the Royal Release in DMC 3 is. It just, mwah, just
Boom,
looks so
bam,
fucking
bop.
cool.
So crisp.
And then Devil May Cry 4 is probably the king of its Royal Guard sound effects. The fucking
Mayhaps.
I just played without it.
Also, DMC4 Royal Guard, you get the Dreadnought, which is based. So, you know.
It's very based. It's still not like the most useful thing on the planet, but it looks cool.
It's fucking cool. That's all I care
Also,
about.
hey, you like how he sabotaged his DMC 5 playthrough intentionally?
Oh my
In the
god.
case of the Ice Shield, defensive options, that it makes the game's combat truly come alive for me. I find the game a lot less fun if I don't have Swordmaster. So I just played without a dodge. Eventually, on my second playthrough, I installed
You just played without a dodge.
Literally impossible. Because you do have one. And it's fine.
In fact, there's zero possible way that you could have done such a thing.
They don't give you controller reconfig that sophisticated.
Nope. Unless you're just changing the code of the game.
the Style Switcher PC mod, and that let me change to Trickster on the fly, and that was really fun to play with. People say Style
I
Switcher
agree.
breaks the game, but I think that's only true if you're a really good player.
No.
What the fuck?
No.
Come on.
First of all, yeah, I'm fucking tired of you making these arguments. I'm fucking tired of you making these arguments that apparently only apply to high level players. No, like I would say I'm pretty good at Devil May Cry. You do not have to be that good to break the game with style switching. Like it is actually, it's pretty overpowered in Devil May Cry 3.
Like, I remember in Devil May Cry 4, when I really started getting the hang of Dante, back in the old PS3 days, I was like, holy shit, this is really, really fucking powerful stuff, like, when I start learning it. And that's awesome, that encourages me to learn it.
Point is, stop self-sabotaging your fucking playthroughs, please. I'm
Yeah.
fucking tired of it.
There's no way in hell that simply being able to access more styles and weapons during combat would have turned my playthroughs into a breeze.
Do you know how game design works?
Like, if you just refuse to actually, like, engage with them and learn, then yeah, sure, but... Come on, man.
Yes.
You have to
the
be
game
good at
was-
you have to be good at the game to shred through the game. Yes, that is kind of true.
Yes. The game was not designed around style switching. So if you are able to style switch, you have a massive advantage that the game developers never accounted for.
All the weaknesses that would have come with not having Trickster are suddenly not there. Imagine that.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm fine with style switching being implemented into the newer games, but they were designed around style switching.
Yeah. Like, if we got a Devil May Cry 1 remake and it had styles and style switching, it would play so fucking differently, just at base.
Yeah.
And if enemies, like, behaved the same as they did in PS2 Devil May Cry 1, then it would be, like, it'd be the easiest fucking game ever. Like, holy shit.
Yep.
Style mod or not, the game remained very challenging. But yeah, Beowulf was fun, and once I figured out I could use the Ice Shield to protect myself from his nuclear blast, I had a lot of fun maintaining
I actually never realized that it had straight up defensive properties until Mayo's video. So thank you, Mayo. Because of the fact that you were willing to engage with the game's systems, I have now learned something new about the game that you're playing.
It's pretty cool.
Look what you can do when you try.
Also, yeah,
offense
I think it's. I want to say like specifically the wind up and like immediately after it activates, kind of like a parry in a way. I think that's how it works. It's been a while, but I do remember.
Yeah.
I learned his attack pattern.
You can also use it to deflect projectiles, which is really cool.
Nevin was also an interesting boss to figure out.
He called her Nevin, bro.
I didn't so much like how much of the fight she's invulnerable, but figuring out her patterns was entertaining, and I felt really good once I finally took her down.
How do you feel about Nevon, Lucy?
So she's kind of in the same camp as a lot of bosses for me. I like the idea of her, but there's just too much shit about bosses in DMC3 that just waste the player's time, and also just aren't that fun or enjoyable / satisfying to engage with. And I would absolutely say Navon is one of them, especially towards the last portion of her health bar, where she just refuses to be vulnerable unless she's doing her bite attack, which is fucking annoying.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'd probably put her around Garion level, where she's not quite, not quite Beowulf, but not quite Garion either. I really like her concept and like the fact that she so regularly repositions and telegraphs her attacks really well, but
I feel
once
like
you start, it's two things. Once you start getting to the higher difficulties where she has more health and survives longer in general, and once you start getting so good that you can kill other enemies so much faster, it feels like she's slowing the game down essentially.
Yeah, I feel like if her bat shield took less damage to dissipate, she would be a much faster. She would be a much better paced fight. Because as it is now, you have to fucking smash the fuck out of your gun button in order to get that shit down.
Yeah, that and just how many frames of invulnerability she has where you can't even damage those. It just gets really tiring. There's so many layers of defense you have to be mindful of.
Yeah.
This fight is becoming more fun the more I replay it, and now that I'm using the Devil Trigger explosion mechanic, I love using a full charge to instantly take down her defenses and get some easy damage.
Nice.
Do I talk about every boss? Is that what you guys want? Okay.
I mean, you don't have to.
He's not gonna, though.
I guess I'll do it. The Heart of Leviathan. This guy gives me trouble every time. I just recently beat him on very hard, and wow, those lasers, they mess me up every time. It's really interesting that you can focus on the left heart to stop the laser spam, or you can focus on the right heart to stop it from draining your Devil Trigger. I focus on the right heart because Devil Trigger is so important, and I let the lasers kill all the enemies on the stage. It was fun to figure out how to stay in the air for a long time, timing my Swordmaster slashes with air hike, switching to other weapons to stay up longer. The tech in this game is really cool.
And I agree. I still just, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite bosses,
Me either.
Like, I don't even disagree with the praise, I don't think that elevates it, Because otherwise it is really simple and pretty quick. But yeah, I mean, hey, rock on, bro.
Gigapede. I wasn't the biggest fan of this fight at first. It took a long time to take him down with guns and air slashes, but eventually I figured out you can jump on him from the ledges and get a bunch of damage on him, especially if you target his head. I like this fight a lot now. Agni.
I agree. I don't
think Gigapede is the worst boss, but he's definitely not something that I necessarily look forward to on any playthrough. It's like, okay, we're at the Gigapede now. I think Gigapede serves better as a way of showing how much better you've gotten at the game than he does as strictly a boss fight, because like once you have all of your equipment And once you're good enough and like you're at the head and you're targeting him, you can just fucking obliterate the shit out of his health bar in basically any difficulty.
Yeah, it's rewarding to learn, but once you've learned it, the fun is gone completely, I think.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, I had fun learning it. Now I'm just gonna do this every single time.
Yeah.
And I will do the
Now I've
exact
got,
I will position myself the exact same, do the exact same combo, like, 2 or 3 hit combos on his head, rinse repeat.
there's nothing dynamic about the fight once that happens.
Yeah.
And Rudra.
Yes.
Did you paused it?
Oh, I think we unpaused like almost simultaneously, so it ended up with the fucking thing paused anyway. That's
Oopsie.
hilarious.
And Rudra. I didn't like this fight very much either. It takes a really long time. That's because
Really? That's interesting, because I think a lot of people would agree that Agni and Rudra is one of the best fights in the game. I would hope so, anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's among my favorite fights in the game, and I don't think it's a very long fight. I think they both have pretty relatively small health bars, but it's appropriate that they do.
Yeah, and I don't know if Agni takes more damage from Cerberus, but god damn does it feel like it. Cerberus is also
It
definitely the weapon
does,
of
I'm
choice.
pretty sure.
Also, Cerberus is definitely the weapon of choice for that fight because you can just deal out so much damage to them with him.
Parrying them is so much easier with Cerberus too.
I fucking love Cerberus.
because I didn't understand key tactics to taking them down. They're incredibly defensive. I'd get stuck in loops of just waiting for them to attack, getting in a couple hits, and then waiting.
The amount of not parrying that happened there made me physically ill.
Me as well. Hopefully he'll do a 180 on us, and it turns out he actually really likes them. He just didn't know the mechanics.
Like, I don't want to be an elitist. It obviously
I'm being a mild elitist right now because he's kind of he kind of is just like,
well, it's not even elitism. It's just like, bro, I would have really loved it if you did this one thing and you didn't. It annoys me.
yeah, like he's just not understanding something very important about the game and its mechanics at the moment.
I don't even know if he's not understanding so much, just not doing it. That would be worse.
Because also, like, he said it earlier, like the Vanguard is very centric around teaching you how to parry and everything like that, and he just isn't. I'm not seeing a single fucking parry fire off, despite the fact that, again, he praised the Vanguard for the exact same thing.
Yeah, bro, this hurts me.
Either it takes a really long time. That's because I didn't understand key tactics to taking them down. They're incredibly defensive. I'd get stuck in loops of just waiting for them to attack, getting in a couple hits, and then waiting. I also had massive frustrations with the camera, because it's really easy to end up against the wall, and then it's absolute camera chaos. From time to time, one of them would get stunned, and I couldn't figure out why. I think it's because they would accidentally bang their weapons together.
Oh my god, this hurts me.
This also hurts me.
I thought this fight did such a good job at, like, making it clear what's happening and teaching you their mechanic. Like, I really love this fight. And he's just sitting here, like, not having learned any of it. And I'm like, nah, you're disproving my fucking college thesis, bro. Stop it. Hurts me.
And on one of my higher difficulty fights with them, I figured out I could time my downward slash with their attacks
there it
to
is.
create collisions that would stun them quickly, and then I'd get in a lot of damage. I'm starting to like this fight more and more as I get
Yay!
Yay!
Lady.
Happy Mayday. Oh, he's gonna talk about Lady. Hey, do you think he's gonna talk about how hot she is, and that'd be it?
I know he is. I remember that he does. However, Lady's boss fight bad. Lady's boss fight not very good at all.
Oh man, yeah.
It's a shame. It's a shame how bad her boss fight is.
Yeah, and I really like Lady, and like I saw where they wanted it to be. It just wasn't there, and it makes me sad.
Not a fan. She's hot, that's about all I can say in the positive column.
Stop.
She runs away constantly, and this fight is super annoying. Jester.
No, come on. I don't even... I'm begging you to tell me more about a boss that I don't even think is good. Why are you doing this to me?
He's an interesting one. You fight him 3 times, I think, and
I don't think I've ever asked you. How do you like the Jester fights, do you?
So Yes and no.
Yeah.
I think overall it's a solid mechanic. Or sorry, fuck, brain. I think overall he's a solid boss fight, and no matter how much I try to say otherwise, like I can't get over the fact that he fucking Zoidbergs throughout the fight. I fucking love that. That's got to be one of the most charming things that I've ever seen a boss do, and I never get tired of it, no matter how many times. However, I think he does have the classic DMC3 boss trap where there's just certain things that kind of just waste my time a little bit, and I also don't like. I don't mind the idea of having a bullet hell boss in DMC. It sounds like, especially in newer games where there's so much movement, DMC sounds like a shoe-in for having bullet hell segments, and I think that's semi what Urizen was supposed to invoke. Um, However, I don't like how just impossible it is at points to damage Jester whenever he's in bullet hell mode. And I think the fact that you basically just have to respect and dodge him at all points during the bullet hell segments just kind of it fucks with the pacing of the fight. And then in the second and third fight where he introduces the ball, I'm even less interested because again, it just kind of it's taking away even more punish windows.
Yeah, I think the ball is kind of what kills it for me, because when I first fought him, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know, you figure it out really quickly, and at that point, it's the same exact pattern. Shoot till he's vulnerable, do some damage on him, then he's gonna go and do something, which basically the next time you get to attack is determined by how long that attack is, because it gives him total invulnerability, more or less.
Yeah, it is an overall solid fight that needs to. It's an overall solid fight that needs a bit of tweaking.
I feel like the more you play it, the worse it gets.
True. I don't. I unfortunately don't necessarily disagree.
Yeah.
I've kind of talked myself down to it. I like it a bit less now that we've formulated our thoughts on it.
Yeah. I give it a. I'm just like, yeah, it's cool. It's fine.
And he's kind of simple. I shoot him as he dances until I can go in for combo damage, and then...
Oh, it also doesn't help that you cannot do aerial combos on him, basically, unless he's on the ball, but at that point you want to focus on the ball anyway so that you can bring him down, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, aerial combat was, kind of given the short end of the stick with this boss.
Fireballs. It becomes a dodging game, or I run in and do damage on him, pulling Devil Trigger when things get dangerous up close. I use the rocket launcher when he's on top of the giant bouncy ball. This fight's alright. By the way, I don't care about taking damage or completion time. I don't care about level ranking. I'm just having fun because the game is challenging and interesting without having to apply arbitrary goals.
I'm so tired of, speaking of arbitrary, I'm so tired of you arbitrarily attributing whether or not something is good to whether or not you're a high level player.
It's just such a cop-out. It's like, I'm tired of hearing it. It's such a sad excuse. I don't want to fucking engage with the mechanic, but also I want to review it, but also, guys, I'm just a casual. Like, fuck off, man. It's not a review, but it is a review. Like, make up your mind on what your content is, please.
Yeah.
Geron the horse.
Geron?
I don't
What
really
the
know
fuck? Geron? J-Ron? What the fuck? No. No, give me one more reading, Mayo. I need one more reading of that,
this
please.
Fight's alright. By the way, I don't care about taking damage or completion time. I don't care about level ranking. I'm just having fun because the game is challenging and interesting without having to apply arbitrary goals. Geron the horse.
Geron the horse. Why is that so funny to me?
I don't really know how to judge the quality of this fight. He certainly can be annoying as he just runs in circles spamming missiles, and in his later phase you've got all the
Why does he just keep fucking him, breaking him? It's making me so upset.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm losing my shit right now. Oh my
these
god.
time distortion bubbles that fuck with you. You've got to get in close when you can and knock him down, get in damage while avoiding the bubbles. I guess I don't like this fight so much, but once I found out you can jump onto his carriage and just wail at him, he became a lot easier to take down. Not the best fight, not the worst either.
You can also jump on him, the horse, and wail on his head. It's fucking cool. I like this fight.
It's okay.
The worst is Arkham.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my god, that fight fucking sucks. Fuck that fucking fight.
As all hell. Impossible to react to, and half the fight is just spamming rockets at leeches in the water. Insufferable fight. I'd skip it every time if I could.
Fucking
Doppelganger.
same.
Love it. I love bosses with puzzle-like designs. You trick him into getting close when you open these lights and you get a little damage. Open all the lights and you can go in for a big combo.
I don't like him for that reason. It's so limited on what you can do to actually fight him. Like, this game revolutionized, like, creative potential in combat, but this boss just gives you none.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea of having puzzle elements to bosses, but I feel as though, oops, I feel as though they needed to be more fine tuning. I think what should have happened is that when it's dark, Doppelganger is invulnerable, but whenever you light the lights, then Doppelganger is vulnerable, but he's still able to fight back.
Yeah,
So
but like you can stagger him.
Yeah, so it's a case of you have to keep track of, okay, how much time do I have on the lights? Okay, I've got to deal damage on Doppelganger, so I can't be too passive, but oh, he's still able to fight back. I think that would have been a much better paced fight. Because as it is, it's just not really satisfying for him to be just completely invulnerable for a huge amount of time.
Well, and when
completely in still, I guess.
yeah, and because you can't bring him up for an aerial combo, you can't make him move at all, which like actually matters with certain combos. Like you pretty much just want to run up to him with Rebellion and spam triangle, which is the kind of thing that you think Mayo would hate, but you know.
Yeah, because I mean, the most damage you get out of him is just by fucking spamming the fuck out of Rebellion.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
He starts shooting fireballs to turn the lights back off. This fight was really fun, and it was especially unique in the list of bosses. And yeah, like 80% of the bosses are enjoyable and really different from each other, and on higher difficulties they're just getting better. Moving on.
No respect for Virgil, my man. It's fucked up.
Nah, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's funny because I want to give my thoughts on this game while also not giving my thoughts on some of the most important elements of it. Like, oh, all right, well,
because it's funny.
It's funny.
Standing as a stark contrast to the quality of boss fight.
I really like it. It concerns me like the amount of people who like have never played Devil May Cry and then they hear this stuff from him and they become, you know, disinterested in playing, even though it's actually very, very wrong.
Yeah, that is kind of a constant fear that I have as well, which is why stifling misinformation is extremely important, and we should do our best to do so.
Yeah, there's certainly, and
times.
there are contexts where this sort of thing matters much more than it does now, so, you know.
Yeah.
Are the encounters with common enemies. If 80% of the boss battles are awesome, it's the opposite for the room-to-room fights. The enemies in this game fucking suck. The first ones are good, I'll go over them. The most common enemies are the 7 hells. 7 similar but different enemies.
So I guess, like, I don't know, proportionately speaking, what would you say the range of good to bad enemies is in this game?
I would say it's basically like a 1-to-1. I'd say we have
Yeah,
50%. We have 50% really good and engaging enemies, and 50% oh my god, I desire death enemies.
I
Um,
think the 7 hells are really good, and the Vanguard, obviously. I guess we can count it since it becomes a regular enemy. Um,
yeah,
I like the chess pieces. I don't know how other people feel about
yeah.
them, but I love the chess pieces.
The chess pieces are fucking fantastic. I love that idea.
It's so fucking cool. Also, I just love chess, like the aesthetic of it and all the different things you can do with it artistically. So, I don't
Yeah,
know.
and they
Maybe
did a
I'm just
really
being a
and they did
slut,
a
but it's fucking cool. They're cool.
they did a they did a really good job too, because the chess pieces look fucking fantastic. Like they do a really good job of looking like statues, but almost like still having a weird like organic feeling to them.
Yeah. Oh man, they're so fucking cool. The king
They're
and
so
queen,
cool.
so cool. They're so
The way
cool.
the way the fucking queen shrieks whenever she fucking
Yeah.
attacks you.
Oh man, it's fucking nightmare fuel.
That all fall in that all fall into one category. Most of them have weapons, they can guard themselves, some of them charge at you, you've got the exploding guys that you can target with your guns and they take out everyone around them. And these guys swing this giant coffin around, summoning more of the 7 Hells enemies. And if you leave them alive, you can basically play an infinite combat room, which I did several times. It's great.
So how do you like those boys? Those casket boys?
So normally I'm not a huge fan of enemies whose entire purpose is just to summon more of them, but I actually the grades are an interesting case where I actually don't mind them that much. I think they do a good job of striking a really good balance of like you can't stagger these enemies really because they're so tanky, but like their health pool is low enough that if you prioritize them well, they're not going to summon too many enemies anyway. But if you don't prioritize them, you're going to have a lot on your hands. So I really like them. I think it was an enemy that very easily could have been terrible, but they did a really good balancing act with them.
Yeah, I think they're really good, honestly. Like normally I don't like the enemies that will just stand totally still when they're vulnerable or whatever, like we talked about with Doppelganger, but these things give you so much more to keep in mind while you are wailing on them. You keep in mind the other enemies. Um, you watch out for their attacks. They don't just become totally invulnerable. You basically find out how to fit your combos in, and I think that's really cool versus something like Doppelganger where you're just repeating the same exact process so you can do the same exact combo, in a brief span of time where you just have free reign.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that they themselves still have attacks, so you can't just mindlessly wail on them either. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they themselves are going to hurt you.
Yeah, and they hit pretty hard. They can be pretty punishing, and they knock you back, so it actually gives them time to summon,
Yeah,
and take away from that time you could be attacking.
Great combo practice and threat management practice. I'm including the Abyss here, even though it's not one of the 7 Hells. It
Oh,
behaves
it's not?
similarly, but they're more powerful, appearing
Oh,
in the
yeah.
late game. They are awesome and really fun to do combos on. They're all great, but it's downhill from here. I went to the DMC wiki trying to remember all the enemies, and nearly every single one I clicked on after 7 Hells had me saying, nope, nope, not you, you suck, fuck that guy.
Wait, hold on. Man, he's blitzing through this shit. I want to talk about these.
I think he does talk about them.
Oh, he does? Okay, well, alright.
I
And
think
nearly
this is just
every
him doing a
single
bit.
one I clicked on after 7 Hells had me saying, nope, nope, not you, you suck, fuck that guy. The only other enemies I really like are the spiders. They're mobile, defensive, fast in their attacks.
Weirdly enough, they're one of those enemies that I don't hate, but I don't like either.
Honestly, I kind of hate them. The more I play the game, the more I'm just like, it's these
They're too
fuckers again.
they're too tanky.
They're really tanky considering they can't be staggered. And they can
Yeah.
jump around too, so yeah.
Yeah, everything about them just kind of works against them.
Or, well, they can be staggered, but, like, you have to specifically counter them and then start wailing on them.
Yeah.
It
They have
restricts it restricts how you can fight them.
interesting behaviors. I just don't like how they throw 4 of them at you at once, because the camera just can't deal with them so well. The view gets obscured, it's hard to focus on who's doing what. You hear a sound cue and you don't.
So I will agree with him here in that, like, their area coverage and how much they can jump around makes it really annoying, because they can jump in and out of your camera at a moment's notice.
Oh yeah, and they also have a command grab, which makes them infinitely worse. Which is obviously the fucking.
And it's
Webs.
pretty easy to grab you, especially if they catch you with their webbing and, you know, lock you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's also the webbing, which is way too fucking easy to get hit by.
Yeah, I don't like fighting these things.
Don't know which spider it's coming from, and I get a lot of those wrong input dodges here where I jump by accident. These fights ended up being more frustrating.
I mean, jumping has iframes also. That's kind of a, you know, it's kind of a safety net.
Yeah, it's very important.
Than they should be, because I really like the enemy individually. Beyond that, everyone else is trash. I do think the bats are interesting and that you have to shoot them first so they turn to stone and you have to break them before they turn back. That's interesting. I don't mind an annoying enemy.
I really
Weirdly
like the
enough,
bats.
Yeah, I was about to say, weirdly enough, the Hellbats, or the Blood Goyles, sorry. The Blood Goyles are enemies that I don't particularly mind all that much, to be honest with you. I think they strike the right balance of being a pushover grunt enemy and not too difficult, while still requiring that the player, like, stop and take a second to think about what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I honestly love these things.
I would make the
They
argument
teach you how to kind of synchronize your guns with your melee and like how you can bounce between the two.
Yeah. I would actually personally make the argument that they're a slightly better version of the Shadows,
Yeah,
partially because they just don't waste as much of your time.
yeah, they're never too tanky. It's interesting to consider you can just take them out straight up melee by splitting them up so many times and then killing them, and that can be fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think they're awesome.
Enemy here and there, but not when you put them with other annoying enemies and just fill the room.
All right, no. That room right there, the fault is on the Enigmas. The Enigmas suck. I
Yeah,
fucking
the
hate
enemies
them.
are fucking awful.
Yeah, you will not catch me disagreeing with Mayo on those, especially on DMD. They fucking suck.
Yeah, they suck.
Room with them. The Enigmas aren't so bad, they are annoying too, but I don't mind them.
No,
wouldn't call
they
them-
are. Homie, you're being way too modest there. No, they fucking poo-poo.
Yeah, no, they're not as bad on lower difficulties where
Sure.
they're at least easier to stagger and they don't have as much health, but that they're still.
Yeah, true.
Ooh.
Got me feeling like Muriel on Courage the Cowardly Dog. Too much shit.
them fun to deal with. I don't know. I don't have really strong feelings toward these guys.
Homie, really, I forgot he didn't play on DMD. He really needs to play on DMD.
I would lean towards not liking them. The Fallen are utter shit.
Yes, they are. Oh,
Agreed.
man, they're poopy
Terrible.
poo-poo.
Terrible. They got a little bit too experimental with some of these enemies.
I would not mind them nearly as much if they couldn't just phase through the fucking arena.
And also if it took less time to get their shields away.
I don't even think that part's bad on its own. Like, it's just the fact that they can go in and out of the arena wastes so much of your potential time.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I have to use the restroom. If you want to continue, I don't care because this is the enemy design section, and I will most likely agree with you. BRB.
Yeah. They believe in me. Lucy believes in me. Ain't that nice? But yeah, the Fallen are poo-poo.
There is nothing fun about fighting these floating pains in the ass. You gotta break their armor and do damage until they recharge their armor.
And I think what sucks too is that the guns do such a terrible job of breaking their armor, which is really weird given how mobile they are and how often they'll be in an elevated position. Like, you would think that guns would be like a go-to, but they turned it around and made it to where you want to start with melee. It's really weird.
And yeah, that's a fine mechanic, but they have so much health. They take forever to die, and they don't just put one of them in the room, you gotta fight 4 of them, and it's like, come on, man, why do I have to keep doing this?
Yeah, I fully agree. I hate fighting these things. Like, I genuinely hate fighting them.
The Soul Eaters only materialize and approach you if you look away from them, then you quickly turn around and kill them. Okay, a fine gimmicky enemy, but they just appear too often, and it's in areas where it's tedious to deal with them, and there's too many of them appearing at once. And they're made worse by the fact that you've been dealing with other really unfun enemies in the levels leading up to them.
I would agree if it wasn't for the fact that you can run up to them, and basically if you stand in the middle of them, you can get free hits on them just because of the swing of your weapons. Like, I don't know, I think that's interesting. It may not be an intentional aspect of the design, but it's still there. But yeah, if you just fight them that one way, walking away from them, turning around and shooting, like, repeatedly, yeah, I could imagine that they would get extremely tiring to fight. They have moments of vulnerability that you can take advantage of and start to familiarize yourself with and even manipulate to an extent, but they're not the most fun to fight. I don't think they're a top tier enemy, that's for sure. But I don't think they're that bad.
Enemies like the shield guys that knock you out of the air if you jump over them.
Also, yeah, the shield guys also fucking suck. Oh god, I hate fighting them. Trying to get around them is annoying. Just in general, obviously, you can only attack them the one way, and they're going to turn so fast versus how much time you have to actually attack them. No, they suck.
We came back at my second least, or I came back at my second least favorite enemy. God damn it, I need to leave again.
I was just saying, this enemy is doo-doo.
Yeah, they're very fucking doo-doo.
They turn so fast that you barely have time when you finally get around them, and getting around them is a pain in the ass, and, you can only attack them from the one way. It's just a cycle of frustration.
Yeah, I actually had a thought in my, while I was away, that I think, Fallen... The Fallen would probably they might need to go through a bit of changes because they're a bit too similar to Sin Scissors, but I think that the Fallen would fucking thrive on in the newer Devil May Cry landscape, but we really, 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 really,
Yeah.
and Devil May Cry 5 still hasn't even got this memo, but we really need to put a moratorium on enemies being able to phase through the bounds of the stage. I don't mind them being able to phase through objects inside of the arena, but if
Even
they're
teleport.
but if they're able to phase outside of the arena, it just completely takes it just completely takes away the player's agency.
Yeah, it sucks.
And Dual Hunt's poopy.
And you gotta find a way behind them to kill them. Again, I don't mind gimmick enemies where you gotta do a certain thing. It's the frequency you deal with them.
I think it also just kind of cheapens the enemy's appeal when, like, it has this countermeasure for jumping over it, but if you fuck with the AI just a little bit, you can still jump over it by timing your jump right. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's also just a case where it just shouldn't be able to snuff your jumps.
Yeah.
Because it's just a little too limiting in that regard.
Yeah, it's annoying when it's present. It's just, yeah, I don't like it.
It's having so many of them in one room, and it's what's been happening before and after that makes it annoying. But worst of all, and the enemy that in my opinion...
No, my babies! How dare you? No, don't you dare.
He's gonna dare. I actually didn't remember this.
No.
Yeah, he's gonna talk shit about the chess pieces, and neither of us are gonna like it.
Homie, that is such an L. That is
I would
such a
argue that
fucking L.
the chess pieces are a very good successor to the Seven Hells, where they're a group of
Yeah.
extremely distinct but enjoyable enemies.
Yeah, it's almost like a faction of enemies almost, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
Causes the downfall of
They're so cool.
DMC3's campaign is the
the downfall.
no, homie, no, come
Homie,
on.
they don't even appear that often.
Baby girl, please. Don't be doing this to me. Come on.
They're
Have
one of
mercy.
the less common enemies.
Oh my god.
officially called Damned Chessmen. No, their name is fucking Chessmen. Damned chess pieces appear infrequently throughout the
See, it's funny because fuck is a more harder word than damned.
Yeah, and also it's correct in terms of the ratio to chessmen to other enemies. They appear far less than other enemies.
Yeah.
I would make the argument that even on a normal playthrough, you will see more of the abysses than you will the chessmen.
Yeah, I think so. Or
At
somewhere about as much. I
Yeah,
don't-
you will not see more of the chessmen than you will the abysses.
What is it? Bloody Palace. I think there's a lot of chess pieces appearances throughout that, but
Yeah, but that's Bloody Palace. That's not the normal campaign.
yeah. And
the
it makes
game.
more sense.
My ass,
Yeah.
they do. Somewhere around mission 8 or 9, I think, of 20, these guys start appearing in mass, regularly.
It's mission
And
10.
you're just fighting statues. Boring, silent statues. And
They're not silent though.
Yeah, they have verbal telegraph. Once again, they have audio cues
Yeah.
slash vocal telegraphs, like almost every, which is kind of the thing that I love about DMC3 is, or one of the things that it somehow manages to have vocal telegraphs for basically every single fucking enemy in the game.
Yeah, and like each individual attack. It's fucking cool.
so many of them. Level after level has you fighting these stupid chess pieces, and in my opinion, all these chess pieces combined with the ghosts and angels and shield guys and multiplying bats.
Also, like, it's so the chess pieces are so like kind of cheeky clever. Like the rook having beams that go out in 4 directions. I'm like, I see what
Yeah.
you did there. I don't know. I love them. They're cool.
Yeah, they're badass enemies.
Leave my babies
Like,
alone.
They're charming as fuck, and they're not that like I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna get into vague elitist skill territory slash get good territory. They are not difficult enemies.
Yeah,
Like
no,
they're they're a bit tankier than some of the other enemies out there, at least on higher difficulties. They are not difficult to fight. Like they're simple.
the knights can be pretty tricky because they're just so fast on DMD. But other than that, like the queen who shows up once is hard. Yeah, because she's tanky and mobile and hits hard and just fast in general. Other than that, they're really not that hard. I don't know. Like they're all pretty simple. Once you figure out their design, you're like, oh, okay, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
It makes the entire second half of DMC3's campaign a boring, tedious nightmare, apart from the boss fights. It's just not fun anymore. Eventually, you end up in a boss battle against a couple dozen chess pieces.
It's not a boss battle. It's like it's a set piece.
It's
It's not a
yeah,
boss battle.
it's not really a
There's
boss battle. No, the boss would be the king piece, and he doesn't even have that much health. He just gets defended by. No.
Yeah.
Pieces on a chessboard, and it's absolute misery. I hate it so much. DMC fans don't actually like fighting the chess pieces,
I do.
do they?
Yeah, no, we do. Oh, fucking
I'm
chess
not-
piece
I'm not-
enjoyers, stand up, my gamers.
Now, am I saying that they are the most absolutely cool, badass, and like the biggest highlight of my playthrough? No,
No,
but they're enjoyable. They're enjoyable enemies to engage with.
Yeah, I think the highlight enemy for me are the Abyss and the Vanguard.
And seeing like it's so cool, right? Because when you play the game for the first time, you see all these chess pieces, and you're like, man, like these chess pieces are so fucking cool. It'd be fucking awesome if there was like a chess set piece, and then they deliver in like the most perfect way.
Yeah,
And it even functions like real chess.
yeah,
Because if you kill the king, they all just die.
and not to mention just like as you're playing throughout the game, you know, you encounter the basic pawn and I guess it would be the bishop, the sorcerer, wizard one.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I wonder what the knight's gonna be. Oh, I wonder what the rook's gonna like. I just think they're cool, man. I don't know. I love the chess pieces.
No, they're fucking cool. Hold on, let me check real quick. Enemy.
What are you looking up?
Yeah, the mage is the bishop.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
and then you finally, and you know, if you know chess, you're like, oh, fuck, the queen would be the most powerful one. I mean, what's it gonna be like? And it does its stuff, and you're like, ah, it's the hardest one, all right. Oh.
Yeah, and then it's really cool how all of the chess pieces will like do their best to defend the king no matter what.
Yeah, like this is so well thought out. I love it. It's so charming.
Yeah, especially for a fucking one-off set piece.
Yeah.
Like which came first? Did they come up with the idea of having a chess set piece, or did they come up with the idea of having like chess pieces as demons, then came up with a set piece? Because both were executed flawlessly.
Hell yeah.
Chess
piece homies rise up.
Chess lovers in DMC rise up.
For the premiere of this, I swear to God, I better get at least one super chat. Or it's just I'm a chess piece enjoyer or some shit like that.
That would be so hype. You don't understand.
Donate 1 penny. I don't give a fuck. Just make it happen.
I find that hard to believe. On my very hard run, I got to where all the statues appear, and it just sucked all the motivation out.
Ooh.
I had to take a multi-day break after that. So I tried the Bloody Palace. That's where all the good stuff is, right?
I don't know. If you were trying to take a break, from frustrating you, you probably should have just not played the game for a bit.
But oh man, I mean, I'm gonna be real, Chef. I feel like DMC3's Bloody Palace is kind of doo-doo.
Yeah.
Like relative to the others, like I don't think it's bad, but yeah, if you're just going for a place to chill out, go to Mission 1 or Mission 2. You know, farm them red orbs. Just have some fun wailing on your enemies. You know.
Yeah. Instead of Bloody Palace, which, yeah, it kind of does suck in DMC3. It's not great.
Combat. I like the Bloody Palace in DMC5 a lot.
Oh,
the only thing I didn't like was that I had to start at level 1 every time, and it doesn't even get remotely entertaining until level 40 or so.
Yeah, but
I would disagree, but also I thought you liked consequences for dying.
Also in DMC5, you can actually select individual levels and practice them. Like, it's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
It had a system like the Cyber Grind and Ultra Kill, where you can choose which level to start at. DMC3's Bloody
I thought he didn't like. I'm not getting into the fucking Ultra Kill shit.
Palace has 3 orbs on the stage. One takes you to a fight that gives you health and advances 1 level. One gives you Devil Trigger and advances 10 levels. And the other gives no reward while advancing 100 levels. And there's 9,999 levels in total. So that's cool. You can choose to advance faster through the tower if you choose. And you get resources when you need them. I like this design a lot better than DMC5's. However, the fights are all randomly generated. You could get any combination of enemies. And we just talked about how half the enemies in this game are pure crap.
Wait, so were you expecting the 100+ level survival mode to only include like a certain set of enemies? Like, homie.
Yeah.
This isn't even a problem with it being randomized. Like, if it had a set structure of enemies, it would still include the enemies you don't like. Because that's
so
you don't want to design it to be skewed in such a weird way. Like, no.
At least if they're randomly generated, there's a chance. Like, if you don't like, I don't want it to be randomly generated personally, But if I
Same.
didn't like a good chunk of the enemies, I would prefer it to be randomly generated, because at least there's a chance that I'm not going to get the enemies that I dislike on the floor.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
And of course, you know, the reason I don't want it to be randomly generated is because I would prefer much more careful, thoughtful, and considered enemy placement, like there is in 4 and 5.
Yeah.
I feel like DMC3 was a bit tacked on in 3, where they wanted to include it, but it seems like they didn't really have much time to actually refine it.
Yeah, it was definitely not a big focus. That's for sure.
I played Bloody Palace on stream for like 3 hours. And after 3 hours, I can safely say that this game mode fucking sucks. Fight after fight of statues and ghosts, or statues and the fallen, or the fallen and bats. It's so bad. 25% of the fights are against the worst enemies in the game, and I can't take it anymore.
It's not 25%, it's completely random.
I was about to say, what do you mean 25%? It's completely fucking random.
You can't be 25% if it's completely random, you fucking moron.
Also,
You
if
can't put a percentage on random.
this is fucking with my head. There's so many
25% of infinity is still infinity.
There's so many layers of wrong in this. What the fuck?
There's just nothing fun about this.
Are you kidding me?
What?
Are you fucking kidding me?
I know it's some.
Okay, that was kind of funny, but you're still wrong.
That's like the highest emotional range he has ever put on display.
Yeah, it was
so
genuinely.
mad.
He was wrong, but it was genuinely funny.
Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
I've never heard him express so much in his life.
You have got to start talking like this more often, my guy.
Enemies in the game.
It'd be so much more entertaining. That would be fucking awesome.
That was genuinely really
Take it
charming and
anymore.
hilarious.
There's just nothing fun about this.
Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
This is Mayo.
Are you fucking kidding me?
This is Mayo teasing 100% of his power. Fucking Tumble.
I know what some of you are thinking. Mayo, you're being really negative and critical for a game you claim to like so much. Yeah.
Were we thinking that?
I wasn't. I don't care. Like, I think someone can be as negative as you want and still like it. Granted, depending on how they talk about it, it will color my perception of whether or not I feel as though they like it. But no, there are plenty of instances where even me and Elle have talked about something that we fucking love, and we've talked about a shit ton of negatives about it. Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, I was gonna say Resident Evil 8 was like our whole thing for that, and I think we made our perspective pretty clear on it. You know, I don't think anyone was. No.
Yeah, I know. But what more am I supposed to say about the positive aspects? I like the combat options. The combos are fun. I like the boss fights.
Why does he make it sound like he's got like a gun to his head? Like he just has to talk about good things against his will, even though he expresses that he doesn't. I don't know, man.
I think it's just. I think it's just the way that he's saying and structuring certain things.
Yeah.
It's in most of the levels. Some of the puzzles are good. There are specific things I like about this game, and they're so strong that it makes it a great game overall to me. But there are other aspects that I think are pretty bad. I'm really coming to hate the lock-on system. I've seen Dante fly into weird directions when targeting something. But there are other aspects that I think
What's up?
He said something that
are pretty bad. I'm really coming to hate the lock-on system. I've seen...
No. You've lost me. You lost me immediately.
You had me
lock-on system.
You had me for a second there, sir. You almost had me.
The lock-on system is so fucking good in Devil May Cry. What do you mean, dude?
Dante fly into weird directions when targeting something, and I can't stand the directional input system.
What the...
Something he hasn't even talked about yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he hasn't even talked about that. Also, what's the problem with it?
I want to just be able to hold lock on and press a specific direction, and the stinger just comes out in that direction. But I
What?
So you want a completely different game.
I need to hear that again. Hold on.
levels. Some of the puzzles are good. There are specific things I like about this game. Combat option being really negative and critical for a game you claim to like so
A
much.
little bit too much.
Yeah, I know. But what more
Shut
am I
up.
supposed to say about the positive aspects? I like the combat options. The combos are fun. I like the boss fights in most of the levels. Some of the puzzles are good. There are specific things I like about this game, and they're so strong that it makes it a great game overall to me. But there are other aspects that I think are pretty bad. I'm really coming to hate the lock-on system. I've seen Dante fly into weird directions when targeting something, and I can't stand the directional input system. I want to just be able to hold lock on and press a specific direction, and the stinger just comes out in that direction. But I always have to turn Dante around first, or the stinger won't come out.
What?
Hold on, I need to hear that. What
Coming
the
to
fuck?
hate the
What the
lock-on
fuck?
system, I've seen Dante fly into weird directions when targeting something, and I can't stand the directional input system. I want to just be able to hold lock on and press a specific direction, and the stinger just comes out in that direction. But I always have to turn Dante around first, or the stinger won't come out. I want that sense of
Oh,
immediacy, and I
I
can't
think
get it.
Stop.
I think too much silly.
Too much silly.
I think I think he's mostly talking about in general gameplay. Right there, I think he's mostly talking about general gameplay and movement outside of combat. Because obviously, a lot of people try to use Stinger as like a method of movement. If he's not talking about that, though, this makes no fucking sense.
He wants to be able to.
Because literally, if you want Dante to go in a different direction for his Stinger, fucking lock onto the enemy. You're golden.
Yeah, you don't have to remain like if you're trying to switch enemies, you don't have to remain locked on to the first enemy. You can change it and then do exactly what you just said. There's like an extra third of a second step in there, but I don't know. Is it that much of a problem?
And if he's talking about during general gameplay outside of outside of battle, where you want to use Stinger as a movement method, bro, it's like it's an input that takes not even a second to get out.
Yeah, like
that's literally a get good moment right there.
Like, am I weird for thinking that it doesn't take much skill or practice or understanding to turn Dante and lock him onto something else? Like,
even when I was a fucking kid, I was doing that.
Or
no
if-
problem.
or in the
I damn sure wouldn't have
instances,
been complaining about it.
or in the instances like you said of trying to use it outside of combat, like just stand in the direction and then lock on and go. Like, I don't know, man. This is some brain rot. This really got my brain rotted right now.
And I just... look, now that I have all my abilities, now that I've been through hell and learned to deal with the pressure and improvise and use my...
Also, how would you use directional inputs, like multi-directional inputs, outside of lock-on? Like, that doesn't... Because you're moving your character.
It really can't be overstated how like refined and how intuitive Devil May Cry's lock-on and directional input system are. Like, there's just something so right about holding the lock-on button, pressing forward, and then hitting the melee button to do a forward lunging attack, or holding the left stick back with lock-on and doing a launching attack. Like, the inputs that they have chosen for the directional inputs in the Devil May Cry series always feel right. Like, when you look at them, and you do them, your mind just goes, yes, this is correct.
Yeah, it's really well said.
Like, as awkward as it is, the fucking move where V goes into the air and summons a bunch of summoned canes, like, that's just perfect. It flows so well.
Yep.
my stuff to survive, I just want to style on some fools.
Okay.
He's literally making the same argument that he criticized.
Mayo, stop, please. I can't handle it. Hold on. Let me just.
I can't get it. And I just... look, now that I have all my abilities, now that I've been through hell and learned to deal with the pressure and improvise and use my stuff to survive, I just want to style on some fools. I get it, okay? For all the people out there that think I don't know how to have fun unless a game is punishing me for not having fun at all.
And you damn sure do not do a good job of bucking that fucking what's the word?
Perspective.
Yeah, bucking that perspective or bucking that conclusion of you.
Times, it's not true. I just need the game to get me there first.
So, he's happy that it got him there, but he's also not happy about all he had to do to get there.
This makes no fucking sense. This makes no fucking sense. M. Night Shyamalan wouldn't write this.
Oh my god, what the fuck, bro? This is Mayo. He's playing 16-dimensional chess right now.
Yeah, there's so many dimensions, you can't fucking see any of them.
DMC3 got me there. And now that I am here, I'm styling and comboing and being all crazy just because. I'm into it now. But there are so many boring, terrible enemy types in this game. The second half of the campaign sucks. Bloody Palace is a bloody disaster. I wish the total game of DMC3...
I don't think the second half of the game sucks. I disagree.
My brain is just gone.
I feel
reached the high levels of its combat potential. So yeah, I like DMC3 a lot. The great parts of it shine really bright. Really good boss fights, awesome combo potential. I had a lot of fun during the good parts. I can see why this game is so highly regarded amongst the fanbase. But I wasn't expecting so much of it to also be pretty bad. Not bad enough to make me dislike it. Like DMC1, it'll be in my game of...
I don't care if you like or dislike it, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. I just don't.
I just care about whether your analysis of it is accurate and well-founded.
Yeah, like, again, if you want to do a sort of mini side project thing, like myself, with my gaming backlog, where it's like I'm literally talking about like over 100 games, I'm just gonna give you some brief thoughts and be like, yeah, I like it or I don't like it. But when you have like a big, you know, dedicated video specifically for people wanting to hear your thoughts, I don't know. I feel like it's not acceptable in that context.
Yeah.
The year list next January. I think I like DMC1 a little more than DMC3, just from the overall campaign experience
really?
and tone.
That's so interesting. He's saying, my man, beneath thine mayonnaise, is not talking about Virgil at all, but he's telling me that he thinks the story of 1 is better, which is a hot take, I would say. Pretty much everyone says the opposite.
Is he saying the story or the gameplay?
In my game of the year list
well, like
next
the
January.
campaign.
I think I like DMC1 a little more than DMC3.
No, I think he's just talking about overall.
No.
He didn't...
It's what he says afterwards. Listen.
Just from the overall campaign experience and tone.
So, like, I feel like that suggesting story has to do with it. Right?
Oh...
I would think.
Or
maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Maybe, but also I don't, because he also said tone and everything, which factors into the story.
Because, like, DMC3 has a very strong tone of, like conflict. Like, that sounds kind of vague, but you know what I mean. Like every character has beef with one another in some regard.
Oh yeah, no. DMC's story is DMC3 story is absurdly tight.
It's so good. Oh man, I
It's,
could.
it's real fucking good.
Uh,
But I
DMC3
like
story is
the
so good, and he's not talking about Virgil or anything, so it's like I'm bothered by this analysis now.
Me too.
DMC3 way more on a mechanical level. I will not be playing on Dante Must Die difficulty.
Okay, so I think he's more so just saying like, as an overall experience, he prefers DMC1, but he prefers the mechanics of DMC3.
That's fair.
That's a weird take, but like I get it because there's just something about DMC1, you know?
It's very ethereal.
Yeah, it's got that nice, and like the music definitely helps with that. DMC1's soundtrack is so fucking good.
I think there's something just so really weird about like much older games going into realms of horror, but not quite being horror either.
Yeah, going into the sort of it's more so they're not necessarily going into like the horror, but the surreal.
Yeah.
Because Kingdom Hearts also does a really good job of that. Specifically, when you get to the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 and you go to the stage that's called the End of the World. Mwah!
Oh, hell
Fucking,
yeah.
I fucking love that area.
Hollow Bastion and Cage 2, the big the Thousand Heartless
world-
fight.
Baby. I wouldn't say that's necessarily surreal, but I get what I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Difficulty because I'm just starting to sour on the campaign. For as much as I like the combat, I don't want to fight these enemies anymore, and I feel like if I played it again, the frustration and annoyance would outweigh the fun and satisfying challenge. Well,
I don't know. I feel like it would be, in a way, satisfying to get good at dispatching of the enemies you don't like faster, to some extent.
Yeah, I think I also agree.
Especially when the gameplay is this good.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. I think I want to do DMC4, but maybe I'll wait a bit. I have some other things I want to talk about first. Bye!
I'm Jim Cam.
I'm terrified to hear what he has to say on Devil May Cry 4. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't even especially love Devil May Cry 4.
Oh, all right.
Like, I love it, but I'm not gonna get defensive about Devil May Cry 4, I wouldn't think.
Oh boy, that video was an experience to be sure.
Oh my, it sure was. Dude, I am so fucking baked right now. My mind has been, like, like, Aliens right there is fucking, it's blowing my mind just thinking about how good those movies are.
So,
At least the first two.
I think that video was better overall than what he normally puts out, but god damn, does he do his best to sabotage his content.
Yeah. Oh man. There was so much of like, you got this you got this right. However, your conclusion or sometimes the premise, it was either one or the other. Something was always fucked up.
Yeah, it was fundamental. Like almost everything that not almost, but a lot of the shit that he said was just basically fundamentally flawed.
Oh man, what a ride that was. I can't wait to talk about, not today. Oh god, not today. But his Devil May Cry versus God of War video. I'm sure that'll be a fucking gem.
That's gonna be a whole can of worms that I don't think either of us are prepared for.
I should probably make it clear. As far as I recall anyways, I have not seen that video. I have no idea what the fuck is gonna happen with that one.
I can't remember if I saw all of it or if I only saw part of it, but oh boy, it was not good.
I don't doubt
From what
it.
I did see.
Oh man.
All right.
3 hours
Well-
and 20 minutes. That was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Devil May Cry 3. It was about 3 hours. It's Siege 20 minutes. Wink wink nudge nudge. colon 3.
Let's go. Hey, that's my thing. Fuck you. That's
was,
my thing that I stole from somebody else.
I don't doubt it. But I don't know, any final thoughts, anything that you wish to go over that wasn't gone over about Devil May Cry 3? Just, I don't know, anything?
I mean, not really. I think Mayo just needs to like,
Stop.
yeah, because like all of the fucking all of the things that I could say about this just apply to literally everything we've done. At this point, it's mostly just like. At this point, it's mostly just like what we could say about his individual points that matters the most because they're all so comically horrendous. And he always finds new ways to make us go, what the fuck do you mean?
Oh, no kidding. Well, I'm fucked up right now. It was, like I said, my brain got spit roasted there. It was way too much. So, with
Cut,
that,
cut, cut the video.
I guess I can do like The Sopranos, right? Where I just suddenly cut the recording.